of their tweets, and they would change their usernames and say, "Hey, find my tweets at mastodon.com/@ whatever," like at furry avatar or at furry pedophile trans person. Like, okay, like that's how they were advertising themselves. And
So
so,
what?
what? You
I
said
said,
something?
so what? Yeah, I said, so what?
Uh, oh, that's just a rule to ban it. Yeah, that's all. I mean, so
So what?
what, right? Like, so what's the big deal? I mean, they're gone. So
Yeah, and
No,
I mean, I don't
that was
disagree
not
with
my
the move.
point.
I
My
don't
point.
disagree with the move. Go ahead, Kat.
No, no,
Sorry.
you go ahead. You go ahead, Ed.
no, you
That's
spoke first. You spoke first, Kat. Go. You explain
fine.
yourself. What's
Okay,
your
okay,
opinion?
I'll explain myself. I've always had a criticism in general over platforms because you build an audience, right? And then you don't own that audience. So as soon as a platform decides to arbitrarily kick you out because maybe you misspoke, or all the things that people, I think, in this chat are often so concerned about, or there's other reasons. You can't just move to another platform because they own your users. So that was an issue, Twitter 1.0. It's an issue with every single social media platform, pretty much, except for maybe Substack, but that's not really a social media
That's a
platform.
newsletter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a newsletter. So that's why it's not on the list. Now, when it comes to Twitter, it's the only one now that says, well, you can't even mention these other social media outlets. So it kind of takes
That's not
that a
true.
step
That's
further.
that's you're misrepresenting it. Like I said, you
Okay,
can't link
who
to it.
else? You can't mention it or link to it. It says
No, you
that.
can't. No,
Yeah,
you
no,
can't. No, you can't.
no.
Read
It
it.
says that in
Read.
the phrasing.
No, read
I,
the rule. Read the
So
I
rule.
can
so
read
so
the
I,
link.
I think you can mention it, but you can't tell people to go to your
Yeah,
profile
that's
there.
what
I think that's how I
exactly.
That's the
understand.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. Okay. Look. Read the. Okay. I'm gonna read the rules here, just so we're all clear. All right. So December 2022. Twitter is where the public conversation is happening and where people from all over the globe come to promote their businesses, art, ideas, and more. We know that many of our users may be active on other social media platforms. However, going forward, Twitter will not allow free promotion or specific social media platforms on Twitter, right? What is a violation of this policy? Well, at both the tweet level and the account level, we will remove any free promotion or prohibited third-party social media platforms off third-party social media platforms, such as linking out to any of the below platforms on Twitter or providing your handle without a URL. So the prohibited platforms are Facebook, Instagram, Mastodon, Truth Social, Tribal, Post, and Nostr. Now, it does not include a whole bunch
TikTok,
of others. Yeah, well, and YouTube.
notably.
No,
Well,
no,
YouTube
because
is
like they're not
different.
competing against TikTok, and they're not competing against YouTube, and they're not competing against Telegram, for instance. Telegram's allowed, VK is allowed. Like you can link to that. That's no problem.
Okay.
And also using third-party social media aggregators like Linktree and Link.bio. Right, Linktree is primarily used by sex workers. Right, let's not deny that. This is OnlyFans people. Now you can link to OnlyFans, interestingly enough, but you cannot, use your link tree to do it. Examples are follow me at username on Instagram or username at mastodon.social. This is what a lot of them were using. Like they would literally change their username on Twitter to username at mastodon.social. That was the thing. And then check out my profile on Facebook, facebook.com/username. Now, accounts that are used for the main purpose of promoting content on another social media platform may be suspended. Additionally, any attempts to bypass restrictions on external links to the above prohibited social media platforms through technical or non-technical means, such as URL cloaking, plain text, or obfuscation, is in violation of this policy. This includes, but not limited to, spelling out dot, right? For social media platforms that use the dot in the names to avoid URL creation, or sharing screenshots of your handle on a prohibited social media platform. For example, Instagram.com/username. Now, what is not in violation of this policy? Well, we recognize that certain social media platforms provide alternative experiences to Twitter and allow users to post content to Twitter to these platforms. In addition, in general, any type of cross-posting on our platform is not in violation of this policy, even from the prohibited listed sites above. Additionally, we allow paid advertisement for any of the prohibited social media platforms. So Facebook is free to advertise here, Mastodon's free to advertise, and also you can cross post. Just you can't link to your username there. Do you get it?
Yeah. No, I get it. But would you, in all honesty, would you have been okay with that same policy if it came under Twitter 1.0 administration?
I would understand it. It's their
You
site.
would
It's a
understand
private
it.
platform.
It's a
So
private
this
platform. You have
is
the
my
right to do it, but go ahead, Ed.
this is my view. I don't have a problem with what Elon Musk is doing there. I understand why he's doing it there. It's a good business idea for him, good business move. But he did say free speech, and people said that Twitter was a town square. Mostly conservatives said Twitter is a town square, so free speech has to go. If this was really a town square, this would be against the First Amendment.
I don't.
I was just
Fortunately,
going to say he did say free speech, but free speech on Twitter,
yeah. Yeah.
not free speech on
Yeah, but
Instagram,
I mean, if
Facebook,
you're
and all
saying
these other platforms. So
if you're saying it's a
I'm just
town
saying he
square,
doesn't
though,
make the rules on other platforms either. He also is probably, I would guess, not wanting people to be funneled to other platforms where they're allowing the doxing of his real-time information. Once again, if that's not under policy or breaking TOS or whatever on other platforms, why would he want accounts that could say, oh, go follow me over here where I'll be doing the things that I'm not allowed to be doing here that are putting people's lives in danger, if that
And
makes sense.
additionally, Jason DeBolt had a pretty good point. I just quote tweeted, I mean, not quote tweeted, but I retweeted him. I'll just put it in the top there. He says, "You're free to speak, but you got to pay to advertise." Sounds reasonable to me. I mean, that's how I view it as well, right? These are competitors. Like, look at the list of names there. Besides Facebook and Instagram, which, by the way, are still a threat to Twitter because they are now rethinking their free speech policies. They might actually allow it very soon because for how well it's actually working out for Twitter. But beyond that, there's Mastodon and there's Post Social, right? I'm not saying they're threats to Twitter, but the only reason they even exist, or the only reason they have users at all, is because of Twitter. It's because people advertise for these sites for free, and fucking publications, news magazines, anyone who's upset at Elon Musk is writing a bunch of articles saying, "Hey, go to Post Social or go to Mastodon, go sign up for it." So it's in the business interest of Twitter to not give these people a free platform to advertise their thing. I mean, if they want to do it and they want to pay to do it, that's fine. You can do it. It's like the rules even say you can pay to advertise the other platforms, no problem. You just can't do it for free.
I can understand that. Look, I can understand even no longer allowing competitors like Facebook and Mastodon to even have official pages on Twitter anymore. And I could even understand prohibiting users from constantly promoting other platforms and tweets, etc. But banning Linktree in people's bios, I think, is a huge overreach, particularly if you want to continue to attract content creators. I don't agree with that.
I think it
That's
shows
what
not
I was going to
understanding
ask.
the users very well, because a lot of people do use Linktree as their website. So, cutting that out, I mean, I use something that's like Linktree for my website. So it just doesn't really make that much sense. And I don't really understand the overall gain of this policy, because, everyone on the left having a uproar about going to Mastodon actually kind of blew up in their face, and then no one actually did it. So I think just not touching this was actually to Elon's benefit, and this seems like a strategic overreach to me.
I wonder
To
if
me,
he is doing this in preparation for getting more content creators to come to Twitter. I wonder if when that does happen with video quality and length of video and all of that, if he'll actually include YouTube in this policy as well eventually. And also, I don't know. I think that you can't go physically to each person's link tree and see what they're linking to. I don't think there would be a means to do that. And I also think maybe he's decided, is it enough, or thought, is it enough to get Tim, for example, is it enough to get you to quit using Twitter? Is it, not being allowed to link to your link tree, is that enough to get you to say, that's it, I'm done, I'm not going to use Twitter anymore?
but Tim should be able to stay on Twitter, because Twitter is a fantastic experience for the creator, for the tweet, for the people there. They should not want to leave because they love it. And so, and even if I am sharing, I don't really share links so much, to other profiles myself so much, but even if I did, it would be just to sort of maybe augment, because maybe Instagram, because I post photos there, but from travel or something. But regardless, if he's afraid of people leaving, or he doesn't want them to share links, it's because people want to stay on a platform because they love it, and they're loyal to it because they love it. So I think it just sends the wrong message to me.
I have a question. Maybe Ian, I'll go with you first. Is this a discussion of free speech or monopolistic behavior, or none of the two?
I don't think it's either of the two. I mean, it's just a business decision, and he doesn't have a monopoly on social media as much as some Democrats in the House might want to claim that he does. Like you see these idiots going, "Oh, we need antitrust to break up Twitter." It's like, why though? Twitter has the smallest share of all the social media platforms. It is a tiny speck of nothing in comparison.
If Twitter had
Instagram.
if Twitter had a bigger share, let's say Twitter had the same share as Instagram, which has a massive share right now, would you then look at it as potentially monopolistic, or still, hey, it is what it is?
I would say it still is what it is. It's not a competitor to others. I mean, even Instagram isn't a competitor to anything else. So even if they were to prohibit links to any other site, which they kind of do, because you can't link to anything at all. Literally, you can't link to anything at all. You have to pay money on Instagram to link to anything. That's a fact. Check it out.
I don't agree. I don't think they're a monopoly. I don't think
Yeah, they're not a monopoly, right? Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't call them a monopoly. So this idea that it's a monopoly is just kind of absurd. And I don't think Twitter is a monopoly. I don't think TikTok is a monopoly. They're not really competing against each other. I mean, is Twitch a monopoly? Maybe
it's not a
but
monopoly,
not really.
but it is within its own sort of ecosystem. Again, I think because the amount of time people have been on these websites, and again, it's not exclusive to Twitter, it's really every social media platform that anybody has invested a lot of time in, because people especially people who have larger followings, they're really tethered to those platforms. It's really, you can lose it overnight, especially as a lot of people here talk about, especially, a lot of conservatives here, for example, have been targeted and lost followings overnight, and other people, and now maybe some of these journalists who've sort of discovered with these, very quick suspensions. But that's what happens if it's kind of at the whims of one person or one entity. That's what happens when it's at this entity. So that's a really tricky thing, and I think that is something that when you lose trust when an entity sort of takes advantage of that.
I think Elon Musk essentially just said what I got a DM from someone saying, no outside food or drinks. Really quick, can we go to the hands that are raised? I'm not sure if it was fried chicken first or Brock. Mario or Ian, were you paying attention?
It was Brock.
I haven't really fully read it, but I saw how it mentions Linktree, and Ian, you said you can't link on Instagram. I mean, they're not limiting that. Is that does it seem like it's explicitly you can't do that? In my bio I have it's a Hoobie, it's a similar thing. Does it seem like that's total no now?
No, it's not like it's a total no. Are you referring to Instagram or are you referring to Twitter? The new
Twitter,
rules?
with what they just put down.
Oh yeah, okay. So in your bio, you can put your YouTube channel or your personal website and stuff like that. That's fine, but you can't use Linktree in there. Yeah. So I would remove that if it's in there. If you have.
But why do you think Linktree is there, Ian?
Oh, I think it's because they just what Tara said. They just can't check every single one of these. I mean, what's stopping a person from using that as a way to bypass the ban on Mastodon, right? If you put Mastodon in your Linktree and you put your Linktree in your profile, it's very hard for moderators to go check every single link. That would be absurd.
So, but there's so many other links that people put there, and I mean, I just think that's a little overreach.
Sex workers most affected. Haha. Crimea River.
That's just not accurate. I mean, a lot of people put links to their latest latest journal articles, their latest white paper, multiple projects they're working on, their business, and some of the other social media. They put pretty much everything on there. It's just become a normal substitute for having a old-fashioned website, and that's what
Guys,
people do.
question: Has Elon made any comments on this yet? Because I know he's at the World Cup, so I'm not sure if he has. Has anyone checked?
I don't believe
No,
he
he's
has.
not. He's not.
I have a
Somebody-
question. At what point, so just for everyone here and myself included, at what point do we need to get rid of the links? And do you suppose people need to go back and delete tweets where they were saying like, follow me on Instagram or follow me on these other platforms, what they're at?
Yeah, that's what they were doing. And by the way, I just added. Is Josh in here? Did he get added? Because he was requesting.
I can't see him as a speaker.
Yeah,
do you want-
try to re-request if you want to. Yeah, Josh Olin is a game developer. He used to launch Call of Duty games.
Nice.
Fried Chicken's waiting also.
I'm just adding him again.
Yeah, go ahead, Fried Chicken.
Yeah. So my question is, where does this leave Substack writers? Can you not now?
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, you can link to Substack.
You can link to Substack because that was my curiosity. You got a guy like Matt Taibbi who's been one of the premier writers on that platform, and now he's one of the biggest ones dropping all the files. I didn't know if that was good. So it seems like certain platforms will be allowed, and some won't be.
Well, so right now, but what happens when Twitter releases long form
And that was
posts?
what
Do
I
they
wanted to
start
get into
banning
next.
stuff
I
like
know they
Substack?
want to.
I have a question for you, Ed and Mysterious Cat, Catherine. Do you consider this how would you compare this to the whole doxing discussion we had yesterday? Would you consider this a more concerning? Because I know you're both a bit concerned about this, and I saw your tweet, Ed, with Brian. Is that more concerning?
I wouldn't say it's more concerning. It's just, to me, it's hypocritical because, you've built this platform saying free speech, and all your defenders are saying Twitter is a town hall, town square. So, you have to abide by the First Amendment. And if this was a real town square, you're standing out in the middle of a town and somebody was saying you can't talk about your company, that would be against the First Amendment.
Yeah, I kind of side with Ed on this one overall. Look, I love Elon, and I'm super thankful for his commitment to the expansion of free speech and political speech, and he's been removing shadow bans, and including mine. I'm tremendously grateful for that, and reinstating accounts, and people can generally feel more at ease speaking more freely. I think these are tremendously helpful things and huge pros. But I gotta say, I gotta acknowledge a few red flags that I've seen from Elon, and I suspect he's being poorly advised, and that is, I think this banning of Linktree, I do think it's an overreach. A lot of artists, a lot of independent entrepreneurs, etc., employ the use of Linktree for a variety of things.
Right?
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong.
That's
it
who
is
mostly uses it. That's like fucking 95% of them.
I don't know about that.
I disagree with that.
On that. But
Now we know Tim. Now we know Tim's real profession.
Like every time you see someone who has a link tree in their profile, you can make like a 95 guess that if this person's got an OnlyFans.
I don't know. I
Like
clicked on a
Fansly
lot of
or
links.
Fan
A
House
lot
or
of
some
these.
stupid website or like a
I don't know. Clicked on a lot of those, Ian, and I've yet to click on one that was a sex worker. But even if it is a sex worker, so what? Like, they can be sex workers. What's wrong with that? I mean,
It's
that's
illegal
people's
in a lot of places.
that's freedom of whatever. It's people's freedom of choice, right? Like you can't. You don't want to support that. That's fine. That's your choice, right?
I would say Linktree is definitely not a sex workers. I don't know how that's even. You got entire industries of content creators across different spaces that use Linktree. Like that's a really naive.
Every Twitch streamer I know.
That's like a very naive comment to say Linktree is a sex workers thing, man. Very naive.
Now, who said that? Was it Ian that said that, or
yeah, it was Ian.
I'll go Ian. Yeah, like maybe some of them are, because I know like a lot of people in the business world, like my company uses it, and I know a lot of other companies that do. I would lean more to. It's just that people can bypass the rule. But by the way, look at the tweet I just made, Ian, and the audience. Does that change? Anyone that disagrees, actually, Brian and Mysterious Catherine, Check the tweet. Does that look at what Paul Graham tweeted 2 days ago?
Let-
Do you
let
think
me-
that
Let
justifies?
me give you an example of what Linktree is. It's basically like the Drudge Report, only for social connectivity across cross platforms. That's what it is. It's not about sex workers. It's cross promotion, curation using a Drudge Report type technology. That's what.
But there's
So
many.
if you go on Instagram, so you're only allowed one link ever. You don't get any more. So on Instagram, pretty much everybody has something like Linktree or an equivalent as their only place to do
Tim,
links. So
does
everything is linked from there. So it's like most young people, influencers, I think Twitter's demographic is maybe a little bit older. He's totally missing a whole demographic and understanding of what influencers are using.
Yeah,
Can I-
see
can I-
that's the thing. Go ahead, Catherine.
It's not Kat, it's Tara. I just wanted, there are now, almost 4 times the amount of people that were in the space when Ian read the new rules earlier.
Yeah, he just
I was just-
Elon just replied. Elon just replied.
Oh, okay. What did he
He
say?
replied to the thing I have pinned at the top there from Jason DeBolt. He said exactly.
Oh, he must be in here getting his things to reply to. No, I'm just playing, but I just wanted to quickly remind people to share the space. Number one, also, and number two, I didn't know, Mario, if we could sort of reset the room and maybe Ian, read those rules one more time for the almost 7,000. Okay, go for it.
Good Lord, now I have to find them again.
And there's
Can
a
you
lot
read
of
them?
them.
Can you find them?
Well, while we are finding them, I will say, just to answer Mari's question, like, I feel that when Elon first took over, I had a lot of hope, because what I wanted was a platform that would address some of these issues that we have. And I think that this does not. And in terms of the doxing connection, and I mean, I don't have an issue with the doxing rules. I think doxing is a terrible thing, and I think there should be rules for doxing. But I think that it's the problem is the clarity. The problem is the transparency. So you can't just like arbitrarily really introduce these rules, not communicate them. Even with Taylor Lorenz, who was suspended, who I think people kind of know that, people who know me know that I, don't particularly like this person for some of the reporting that was done. But the way that was even handled, just the communication around that, like we don't even know why she was suspended, and then she was unsuspended, and then apparently she posted a screenshot of a notice saying that she's permanently banned, and then she actually isn't banned. So just the chaos around that is not great, and it doesn't build trust in the platform. So I think it doesn't mean that he's failing, but I hope he goes forward, he's able to address some of these things.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I feel like
invite
David,
Jason
David was
to
trying to
the
say something, I
space.
think.
Who was just responded to by Elon. I'm going to invite him into the space, Mario. If you see him in here, hopefully he'll come speak.
So guys, I just want to.
David, you wanted to respond to Catherine?
I'm sorry.
Can I ask a quick process question?
David, your mic is really. David, your mic is really, really, really bad. Like we can barely hear you. So I'll give you the mic right after, just after you fix your mic, if you don't mind. But yeah, Ian, while David's fixing his mic, did you want to reply to Catherine?
Yeah. What? No, I was saying David wanted to reply. I think Josh also had something to say.
Yeah.
Let's let Josh go
While David's
first.
working on his mic, Ian, I just wanted to raise the point of like, well, where does this end, and are we looking far enough into the future? Like, what happens when Twitch, when Twitch TV and live stream content starts to become more core to the content? Are we going to ban linking, referencing offsite to your Twitch content, your video on demand content, your replays? Linktree is really just utilized as a landing page. So what if I recreated on like my own josholin.com domain, right? My own little like page that has, for convenience purposes, the sort of the appendix, of all of my, the rest of my identity, social identities online. Is how far is this willing to go, and is this really the fight that Elon is worth fighting? I don't understand even the premise.
That is a good point, actually. That's actually a good point. Like, if people could make workarounds, right? Because he only banned like aggregators like Linktree and stuff. But how far does this go? Let's say I would have made stillgray.com, right? And turn that into my link tree. Is that banned? I mean, it's
But
not
he
really
said,
clear.
but Ian, you mentioned Elon's reply, but I think we're not giving it enough importance. What if Elon just means when he says exactly to the advertising aspect, maybe you can promote your links to other accounts or other pages, you just have to pay for that. Could that be
Yeah.
That
Well,
could be it.
don't you guys think it would be reasonable to allow people to keep their link trees and things like that if at least you're a Twitter Blue subscriber? I think that'd be a very fair compromise.
I think that would
Let's go
actually
to
work.
Honey Badger, who has their hand up and is waiting patiently. Let's go to her.
Thank you so much, Tara. And this is a great space. And so just from 30,000 feet, I'm going to make this very quick. From 30,000 feet, I don't think anybody in the room would disagree that Twitter is a whole new world since Elon took over. He has done tremendous things for many people. We're getting into the minutia, I believe, in terms of what is doxing, what is fair, et cetera, et cetera. And we have to remember this is still in its infancy. And I mean, he's running a social platform with, he's the most influential person in the world right now. Let's be very honest. But I appreciate the questions in terms of the decisions that he has made that have appeared to be emotional. So in other words, I would go all the way back to Alex Jones and his comments about why he banned him at first, and then going to doxing. He was talking about his children, etc. Now, I'm not fault. I will not fault him for these things, but it's kind of a slippery slope when you personalize it. But at the same time, the conversation. I'm going to go back to doxing. The conversation about doxing. What utility does it serve, and why should it be okay? It's like regardless of the law. I understand, but in terms of if you were in the shoes of a person who is trying to run a social platform that is worldwide, why would you want to allow people to do that? In other words, what is the positive utility for that? And I'm asking that sincerely. Thank you so much for letting me speak, hosts.
I think it's a constitutional question over, freedom versus security. I mean, doxing is something that, if it's a crime, right, then it should be a criminal problem. But for him to arbitrarily just ban people like Taylor Lorenz, because he banned her for previous stuff to make an example, but it's again freedom versus security. Or Elon Jet, it's like people track airplanes all the time. I mean, it's I don't know. It's a question I pose to you guys. I don't know the answer, but it's a common problem: security versus freedom.
I'm looking at his likes, and it sort of gives us a better understanding of it. So something that me Musk, that's his mom, tweeted. She said, "This makes absolute sense. When I give a talk for a corporation, I don't promote other corporations. If I did, I would be fired on the spot and never booked again." Is that hard to understand? I mean, that's
When you go
gist
to
of it.
McDonald's, do you bring like your Burger King in and just sit
No,
down in
you're not allowed to.
McDonald's and eat your
They'll ban
Burger
you.
King and then leave your trash and
But if
Yeah,
you
they'll
were a
ban you for
Burger
doing
But
that.
they're a
King
private
t-shirt,
company. That's why.
you wouldn't get kicked out, would you?
Yeah, but he
You would.
says that Twitter
You
is
would.
a free speech platform. That's the problem. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either it is a free speech platform or it's 100% a corporation trying to make money that doesn't care about free speech. So you have to. What's the balance? I guess is the overarching question.
Yeah, so Raider, I've got a question for you, Raider. Would you say this is related to free speech or just
100%.
business?
100%.
Because like tweeting an Instagram link, and I if you look at one of the tweets I did, who just came up on stage, so if you look at one of the tweets I did, Paul Graham. So it's not really. He's just tweeting another account of his. It's not tweeting a certain opinion. For example,
I would say it goes back to what's acceptable. Like if you just say that as a private company, he's a non-traded company, he can do whatever he wants, right? So do we care about free speech and being able to post a link to one of your accounts on another platform? You're making a statement. And if it's purely a company, and if Twitter is just a company and we just want to treat it as a private company, then you can't give argument that it's a free speech platform because it's just acting as a business entity. It's not the public forum. That's the question. That's what people are wondering, whether it be doxing or promoting yourself as a content creator. Like, these are philosophical questions, and I don't know the answer, but they're very
So I have, because I just had a message now from someone who is really active on Twitter, analyzes it. I don't think he wants to reveal his identity, and he messages me, "This is in no way related to free speech, and is just purely a business move."
If you ban somebody, Mario, for publishing links to your own accounts that you own as an individual, and you get banned from a platform, how is that not in and of itself a free speech concept? I don't understand how you cannot.
So let's say, so with link, it's a very good point. With Linktree, you can use it and you can add many links. But if you want to put your website there, you can. You still put all these private things that you. Do you mean like with Linktree linking to your website, or do you mean like your own Instagram account?
As a again, he's a private company. He can do whatever he wants. Okay, so
no, we understand. I think we all understand this. I think
if you're banning people, let's say whether you're a journalist or a business or an individual that does content, if you're banning people because you link to your own platform, like your own content, like it becomes a free speech thing, in my opinion. Now, does that mean he doesn't have the right to do it? Yes, because it's a private business. But if you ban somebody for linking to their own content, how is that not a free speech conversation?
Yeah. So here's a scenario. Can I just give a scenario? Another, like, if this happens. So now let's say a company advertises with Elon Musk, and that company was posting stuff that he believed was bad for business. Could he ban them since it's his business? And then let's just go back to what Jack Dorsey did, and he banned certain conservatives. Like, where do you draw the line? I mean, eventually you had to draw the line somewhere. What's the separation between a business decision and free speech?
For example, here's the best example. Dan Bongino.
You guys, wait, time out. Hold on, you guys. Time out really quick. We got Jason in here, and I really want to hear from him. I'm not sure how much time he has, but he's the one who has the pinned tweet above that says you're free to speak, but you got to pay to advertise. Sounds reasonable to me. Elon just responded to it moments ago saying exactly. I just wanted to get your take on all of this, Jason.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
fantastic. I haven't really looked into it, you know, all that. I haven't looked at the policy that much, but I think it sounds totally reasonable. I mean, I think the advertising is just, it's reach, it's not speech, right? So, you know, you're free to speak, but if you want to reach a larger audience, you know, on Twitter, I think it's something you should pay for. It just seems very obvious to me. So I wouldn't. Yeah, go ahead.
So I've got two questions here. One before you spoke, Jason, I had a question, and one after what you just mentioned. So the first question I have, and that goes to Raider, and then my second question is to Justin. Raider, do you know that other platforms, the algorithm reduces your reach significantly if you include a link to, let's say it's an Instagram post and you include a link to YouTube, your reach, goes down. It's a business decision. Would you consider that against free speech?
I think my argument were examples. One would be Dan Bongino, and the other one would be Right Side Broadcasting. Both of those accounts are businesses. They're public people, but they're essentially were businesses, right? Covering election type stuff. They were both taken down by Twitter in the old days, right? Like before the Elon days. Now we live in a world where Elon runs the show. I am 100% for being able to pay for the services that Twitter, provides. That's 100% amazing, right? But the problem you run into with free speech violations is where you're able to pick and choose and take people down without giving them the option. That's the problem. Like if Elon can pick and choose and deplatform people, whether it be elections, whether it be human rights people, like pick your industry where you're trying to get your message out, and he can pick and choose who he knocks off the platform. That's the problem. And I don't know the answer because it's complicated, but I think he has to just think through, like, you shouldn't deplatform people because they put up Linktree. What if they're a business? What if they're an individual? What if they're a human rights?
There are other options. There are other options to Linktree. Like as a business, we can easily find another option. Maybe Linktree is more retail, and then retail could be using it to link to Instagram. It's a valid point, but I'm just going to ask the second question to Jason. Jason, first your tweet. I don't know, how did you think about advertising? Because that's a really smart tweet. Like,
I
do you
mean, it
mean
is.
do you mean people will have to pay to be able to advertise their private links, like their private Instagram? Is that what you meant, or I misunderstood it?
Yeah, I mean, I think advertising is a broader category than we traditionally think about it. I think advertising is, you know, it could just be self-promotion, right? You're promoting some hustle on Instagram or OnlyFans or something like that. I think that's, you know, if you're not providing any content on Twitter other than just posting links to like external sources, like I feel like that's really not, you know, freedom of speech. I think it's more of just using the platform to you know, to extend your reach. I just don't think that that's like, you know, adding any value to
Is
Twitter
anyone
really.
really going to follow you or engage with you though if you're only posting links or ads though? I don't think
It's
you're going to
spammy.
have much reach.
It's spammy. Those accounts are spammy, right? They
Yeah,
take
it's
a couple other
spammy. Yeah.
usernames and they do spam into people's replies. Like I get that a lot where people will link to their fucking link tree in my replies. It's like, bruh, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You
but
know?
how do
Those
you
should be
address
removed. That's
the
spam.
free speech issue you run into, guys? You're not thinking through is like, what about there's got to be caveats. What about nonprofits? What about human rights groups? What about, like, there's a lot of things going on in the world where Twitter has been the public forum. If you
But then they link directly to those sites, though. I mean,
have
you're
to
allowed
pay.
to.
Can I ask a question? When you go to say the mall or you know a big store that brings a lot of traffic, like Twitter brings a lot of traffic, are you allowed to go and promote other businesses or hand out flyers or put flyers on windshields? Is that something that they allow people to do to solicit other services? Can anyone
No,
here answer that?
so malls aren't town halls though, town squares.
I'm
There's
saying
actually
it's
back
a
in the
place
40s,
where
back in the 40s,
they're
actually.
driving traffic. It's a
So back in
privately
the
owned place
1940s,
like
you
Twitter.
were
So that's the
Ed,
argument.
back in the
it's a privately
1940s, you
owned
were
place like
allowed to.
Twitter's
So
privately
that's the
owned.
argument.
So
You
the
can't.
point is you're not allowed to go
No,
solicit.
so I think this is the argument that's being made. So if Twitter is a town hall, then it's not a mall.
Exactly.
But so
Exactly.
does that mean?
So can I just give everybody
Yeah,
a
go
little
ahead, Ed.
history lesson? So in the 1940s, I think it was 1945, the Supreme Court actually ruled a shopping mall is a town square, and you can't ban people from exercising free speech. But then in 1976, I believe, that was overturned and it was reestablished again in the 1980s. So now a shopping mall is not considered a town square.
And can you
So-
define
So
what you
wait,
mean? What does it?
when do you, Mario, hold on. So do you go to the town hall and you say, okay, everyone go over to this other town hall. We're all going to go talk about what we're not allowed to talk.
legally,
We're all
yes.
going to go talk about what we're not allowed to talk about at this town hall, like doxing people's real-time location over at this town hall. So follow me over there.
No,
But
no,
this
no.
is not the
so
same thing. We're creating
Let-
content
a
on
town-
the
a town square.
I'll let
so-
Ed go ahead. Answer.
So the term's actually town square, and it's actually, that's what they use for free speech. So a town square is a government-run area, like in the middle of a town. And according to the Constitution, the First Amendment, the government can't stop your speech in this town square. But a private entity like a shopping
There are still
mall
city
can.
ordinances in that town square and government
You're not
control.
allowed to have city ordinances that say you can't exercise free
So I think
speech.
that's
The government can't make laws that
Yeah,
take away your free
Ed
speech.
is actually correct on this issue, but it sidesteps the point is that Twitter is a private owned platform.
Yeah, so I think that
other
yeah,
platforms
I was
already
gonna
shadow ban people for linking. Like try linking
but
to
that
YouTube
also
from
goes
Facebook,
back
you will get
to
0 views.
Jack Dorsey's Twitter. That was also
Yeah.
a privately run company, and everybody's saying Jack
And that's
Dorsey,
Jack Dorsey,
wasn't
yeah.
allowing
This is
free
Elon
speech, and
Musk's
Elon Musk
platform.
came along and said,
There's a
"I'm
new
gonna
rule
allow
here.
it."
There's a new king
so
in charge.
Yep.
so Raider, I'll let you comment, and then I'll when I conclude that particular point, the town square point. Go ahead,
So
Raider.
to comment, to kind of piggyback. So here's the thing, right? Like I'm a huge Elon fan. I'm a huge fan of everything going on. It's great, right? But here's the real conversation. Either Twitter becomes a public forum for people to have civil discourse, and it's open to all different views, right? One, or it's a private business that restricts the speech of people based on the private company's opinions, policies, and the way they want the company to be run. And if that's what Elon wants to do, he 100% can. But the question from the community is, if you say it's a free speech, absolutist environment, but yet it is not operating as one, then just say it's not and say it's a private company and we'll do whatever we want and we don't care about free speech. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And I'm a huge Elon fan, but just be open with what it actually is. And that's my whole point.
So would it be fair
Mhm.
to conclude that Twitter is not a town square, and that's not a bad thing? I think it's a
Yes,
fair
I would
conclusion.
say
No.
it's not.
I
No.
don't think so.
And I
Uh,
would say
I don't think that's a fair conclusion at all. I think that you have
Go
to
ahead.
look at how it's being used, and
he-
it affects way too much of the public discourse,
is
and it
So
can
so let's
affect
go
the
all
outcomes
the
of elections. So I think you have to see it as a town square, and there's actually a lot of academic work on this that has put forward that it really should be considered a civic public utility of some kind.
Okay,
That the big
let's
social media
let me
platforms
get
have
some.
that degree of impact on the
Let me
public
get
opinion.
okay. I want to get more clarity on this, and I want to go to Jason, Tara, Ian, as well, and Wall Street Silver
Wall
on this
Street
particular
Silver
point.
had a stand up. Yeah, he
Yeah,
wanted to speak.
I saw, and I just want to keep it focused on this particular point. So, Ed, you were mentioning, and Ian, you kind of said this is not exactly true, and I think it's important. So, Ed, you were saying that if it is town square legally, anything's allowed. It's a government run area, or
Yeah, I mean, not
whatever you want to call
everything
it.
like child pornography wouldn't
Yeah,
be
so
allowed.
anything
I
that's
mean,
not
there's
illegal,
limits.
but 100% free speech. Not 100%, but anything that's not illegal. So
Yeah,
think
and for the record, I don't think it's a town square, but if you are
okay.
saying it
So
is, that's
so Ian, I want to go to Ian. Ian,
Well,
did you say is
Mario,
that?
it is illegal to go solicit businesses and other domains, and that's exactly the point
Yeah,
that I
but
was bringing
what?
up. You're
No,
not
not
allowed to
not in
go
a
to
town
your
square.
local mall. You're not
No,
allowed to go to your local mall and
A
solicit
mall
using
isn't
their
a town
traffic.
square.
yeah, I know, Tara. I agree with your point, and this is a thing that I'm trying to get to trying to get everyone's opinion on.
There are
So
city
if it,
ordinances
I,
against solicitation too, Mario. Otherwise, you would have a ton of flyers on your car every time you went downtown.
so can anyone offer clarity? Because I know Ian, you said that what Ed said is not correct. So can anyone give me clarity? In a town square, are you allowed to go there and solicit businesses? Ed, you said yes. Tara, you said no. Ian, do you have any clarity?
If you're standing in a town square exercising your free speech, yes. As far as putting flyers up, I think that's just laws against posting flyers on public property.
That's what links on Twitter essentially are, is
Well, it's not
flyers.
public
So
property.
Tara said, yeah, I mean, she said it better than I did, in that it's soliciting business from Twitter and not actually adding anything to the public discourse. You're essentially using it as a way to advertise your business or someone else's business, to spam it, and that's what's prohibited. I don't think this is a serious
Well,
issue, and I'd like to go to Wall
it's
Street
not the
Silver. I
same
think
an
he's got a lot
example?
of.
Can I just give an
He's had
example
his hand
real
up for a
fast?
while,
So
so let him go first.
So if you read carefully the wording of this, notice that's going around, it's what's being banned is the free marketing. So, Elon's all about monetizing Twitter. He's got to make money. So it would not surprise me if he comes out with his own version of Linktree or something like that, where you can purchase. We're paying $8 a month right now for Twitter Blue. I would not be at all surprised if there's a higher tier after that comes, maybe $15 or $20 a month, that opens up other features like the Twitter version of Linktree, where you can add 5 or 10 links to other platforms. It's all about it being free. If you're willing to pay Twitter, I suspect he's going to allow you to use your account to do these things. So I don't think it's necessarily that he's opposed to these things. It's just, all right, well, if this is how you're going to use your account, you're going to pay to do it that way. You're not just going to have, like, look at my account. I got 500,000 followers. So I can do a lot of free advertising for myself without having to pay Twitter anything. All Elon's trying to do is trying to figure out how to monetize this. And I would not be at all surprised if we see a Twitter, Twitter wants to make the X app. It would not surprise me at all if he comes out with his own Twitter version of Linktree or something like that. That's where I think this is going.
Well, I certainly hope that's going to be the case. But the thing is, I think if that is his intention, he needs to state that while he's in the process of telling people they're going to get suspended for having a Linktree. Again, I
I
understand.
think, Steven, it's scams. Think about how many links on Twitter lead you to scams. Does anyone here use Craigslist, or have you ever heard of or used Craigslist? You've never ever been allowed to post links on Craigslist because they don't have the manpower to control where those links are taking people, what it could end up putting on whatever they click on it on. I mean, there are so many spammy, scammy things going on Twitter that this will completely eliminate people from even being able to do that and do these mass link
Well,
replies like Ian was referencing.
but they're not prohibiting links to other websites. They're only prohibiting links to specific social media platforms. So that's not actually accurate. And these platforms aren't necessarily like presenting a threat in that way. So yeah.
I would agree that the biggest threat on here, everyone's seen all those Binance, spam bots in the replies, right? I mean, all these, CZ pictures of some stupid video contest for Binance. They're all over the place. I wish we'd be banning things like, filtering for crap like that rather than other, safe social media accounts.
You should be able to share it on your wall with the people that you've curated and built relationships with over the years, versus like if you're spamming and like responding to random threads and then you're sharing your exterior links, that's maybe a little bit different. And I could see a case made for that. But if you're posting on your own space, right, you're not, so you, Tara, you were mentioning, for example, stuffing, posters or something like that, right? Or into people's mailboxes or something like that, right? Or windshields of cars. This would be sort of the equivalent of like waving something. Right. So if you post, if I were to respond to something like a thread or your post and with my links, that would be that. But if I post it on my own wall, I don't think that's the same thing.
Yeah,
I
but
just,
Catherine,
just
to
quickly,
your
I just
point,
want to. I want to update just a quick point. Sorry, and I'll give you the mic right after Honey Badger. Just one thing, Ashley Baker, who's the Director of Policy at CMTE for Justice and works in the Antitrust Department of Allied, and I don't know, she deals with antitrust matters, and she messaged me the following: it can be a competitive policy / antitrust issue. So I've invited Ashley up to kind of elaborate on this point. Sorry to interrupt you, Honey Badger.
Thank you, Mario. And so again, my earlier question wasn't answered, which is fine, but I think it's a very pertinent question. And I'm going to go all the way back again. Elon has done tremendous things for this platform, but we have questions, right? So the question of doxing, again, does it serve a utility? Does it serve a purpose? Whether or not it's legal, is it necessary? So, that's kind of empathy for him in terms of, him banning people for doxing him. But at the same time, this is my question when we talk about the public square or the town square, and whether you're able to like post signs all over town. Where do people in the public square get their information? They get it from newspapers. Now, especially in digital newspapers, share links constantly. So if this is like a free speech platform, etc., what's the difference? Why would he be stopping other links for other people, like sharing other information, if this is kind of like opening up the newspaper? Does that make sense?
That's not entirely accurate. Some newspapers have a policy against linking to other websites that are not affiliates.
You could also compare
You
this.
also
Everyone,
have
this is
to pay. You also have to pay for that advertising in a newspaper.
But aren't we doing it as
And also
as blue
keep in
checks?
mind there are a bunch of laws coming in right now in Canada and in Australia where newspapers are suing companies like Facebook, in particular Facebook and Google, because they want a larger cut of the revenues. This might be a way to cut them off at the at the pass, right, before that happens, because these laws are coming into place, and media companies in particular, big media companies, we're talking Fox, we're talking CNN and so on, and New York Times, they want a larger cut of whatever revenues Facebook gets. So any link that even goes to these websites, right, to CNN.com or to Fox News or to the Daily Mail, they want a cut of it. They want a larger share of the revenue because they think that social media companies are making too much money off their content. And so
when
that's
CNN
troubling.
when CNN tweets like a snippet of, like, let's say Tucker on their own page here, is there a problem with that?
No, that's fair use.
No.
It's commentary.
Oh, okay, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like they're putting out other links to other places that are not theirs, but they're doing it for attention.
Hey all. This is Bill Ottman with Minds. Just wanted to quickly jump in on the public square argument. So think of it: Zuccotti, Occupy Wall Street. People hold signs in a public square. It doesn't necessarily have to be like stapling a advertisement to a wall. So that I think that's one consideration to take into account. Additionally, if you look at the list of networks that have been included, you have traditional platforms like Instagram, but then you also have open protocols, which are very different from centralized platforms. So Nostr was one of the protocols that was included, which has been gaining some traction recently. And Minds is actually integrated with Nostr. It's a decentralized relay network that uses, basically you sign content with cryptographic keys so that there's no lock-in. You can port your content between apps. And Mastodon is similar. I know that people think that Mastodon is political from, kind of the top down, but there are instances of Mastodon which can be run by anybody. So the fact that those are being clumped together, like literally there's no end to this. Are people allowed to talk about these platforms without links? I mean, there could be infinite numbers of links that are clients of the Nostr protocol. So it's just sort of an endless battle. And, yeah, the legal right to do it. Twitter probably has the right to do this. The question is it a winning battle? And is it useful?
Something else, Instagram doesn't allow links to other platforms. I mean, I think you can put one hyperlink to your website or something, but Instagram doesn't allow these unlimited links either.
It allows Linktree. It allows Linktree.
That is true. That is true.
But it doesn't allow direct linking, from any video or from even a text, right?
Yeah,
the way we work around
Instagram
it, other news, is that we'll say, click on the latest link in our Linktree thing at the top, and that's how we get to the latest news, because there's literally no way.
But Instagram is also the point I'm trying to make is, up till now, Twitter's been a free for all for links. Just anything goes in your profile, in your tweets, anything goes. Whereas Instagram is a much more walled off universe of a platform. And maybe Elon's just sort of, we're still going to be allowed to do some of that, but he's just narrowing the boundaries.
Links links have already been limited in the Twitter algorithm. Ian, I think we were going back and forth the other day about that. I mean, because we haven't seen the algorithm yet, even though it was said that the algorithm was going to be open source. That hasn't occurred. And it does seem that when traditionally, even like before Elon bought the platform, it seems that if you post a link, it's getting significantly less reach than other posts.
So guys, I just want to, and I know that Ian, you brought up Basic Schwab, so I'll give him the mic right after I speak. But I have a question or something to bring to people's attention. I was going through the replies, and someone tweeted a tweet by Elon 6th of May or 5th of June. I don't know how they structured it, but it says the following: the acid test for any two competing socioeconomic systems is which side needs to build a wall to keep people from escaping. That's the bad one. So it's good to bring it to people's attention on whether the strategy itself. I'm not against the strategy. I think it's just a business decision. I think it's less related to free speech. I think the doxing matter is even more sensitive than this one, in my opinion. But is it the right business decision? And that's an interesting tweet by Elon. I'll just send you the screenshot now, Ian. But I'll go to Basic Schwab. Would love to get your thoughts on this. You've been waiting for a while, man.
Thanks. So one problem I see is that as people try to interpret these policies, they have their own justifications for why the policy would be good. And as time goes on and discussions happen, they change what their reasoning is for the rule. In this conversation, first it was about advertising, but then it became about spam. So if you're going to fight a spam problem, you fight it with spam rules. If you're going to have an advertising problem, is the issue that this is a rule based off of the logic of advertising, in which case the exceptions to the list of providers becomes an important thing to focus on. So I don't recall seeing Twitch in there? Why is YouTube allowed to be linked? So why can I promote myself on YouTube and direct everybody to my YouTube profile? Why could I apparently do it to Gab? I don't know if Gab is included in one of the protocol limitations, but I could link to Gab. The exceptions start to distort what the supposed justification is for this. Now, if Twitter is going to begin to close people off from linking to their profiles on platforms that are offering similar services, that would be a possible logical route to go. However, Instagram is used by a lot of people who are artists, and there are people who are craftsmen who will take commissions, and they will post on Twitter the progress updates. They will show people the continuous process of them making something. But then Instagram is used as their portfolio to show off their work, to show off the completed items. There's a lot of cosplay people who use Twitter all the time as for Twitter purposes, but then use Instagram as a portfolio. Banning Instagram is not banning a similar competitor because Twitter doesn't have a portfolio type image section. So the exceptions to the rules and the fact that there are features that Twitter lacks make this particular rule set very confusing and very difficult for the average user to wrap their heads around.
Tim.
Yeah, I think this just comes down to, does this really make any sense, like as a policy? Because I mean, I think the internet is meant to be a place where you can link to things. I think that's what makes the internet great. I think if you're into decentralization, you probably would be against this policy. I would want
my question from a business perspective, Tim.
Decentralized protocols.
Let's go back and
platforms.
Tim, let's go
Yep.
back and forth, me and you. Let's go back and forth on this point. When he said, does it make sense? So don't you think Facebook became the Facebook it is now and became a juggernaut by being competitive this way and cracking down on the reach of different accounts, cracking down on competitors, acquiring competitors, avoiding. I think your reach will drop if you link to other social platforms as well on Facebook. Like maybe I'm not talking ethically, just business wise. Don't you think that decision would make sense? Wouldn't you make a similar decision if you were Elon?
I think it has the danger of making the platform feel less free and more stagnant. And I think people really value freedom. They like to be able to express themselves, and they use social media to engage in creative and economic freedom that they wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Wouldn't it limit?
Often use
wouldn't
that
it limit
for
like money?
opportunities, like building reputation or spreading information on Twitter is generally also meant with the dual purpose of building that person's reputation and building opportunities in other ways. So I think really thinking very cleanly about how to do this well is something that I would ask Elon to think about, because like I'm thinking, okay, so if I can't use beacons.ai as my website anymore because it's a link aggregator that has multiple things on it, what can I do then? Can I say, hey, Google my name, and then you can find my site on there, and then I have to pay Google and do some SEO stuff to get my website listed right up there when people search my name? Like, does that make sense? Then Elon's making me pay for SEO.
So Tim,
Like,
question.
doesn't make sense.
Question. So before we go to other speakers, also Sam, I saw Sam's comment. I'm gonna read it out. Hey, bro, not sure if this has been covered already, but this is a direct breach of EU law. I'm just reading the message. And the fines could bankrupt Twitter considering their current finances. So I've invited you up, Sam, to give us more clarity on this point. But back to what you said, Tim, Twitter needs to find other ways to monetize. Isn't that just, doesn't that, like if he there might be some overlap, business decisions that may overlap in some people's perspective over free speech.
From the EU, I mean, if that is really an EU policy, it's really fucking rich for them to say something like that, given that they limit any sort of reach to sites like Telegram.
I'll bring up.
.com. Like, how dare you link to a Russian news website?
He's got a lot of opportunities
defenders
to
of free
monetize.
speech,
I'll
but you
just say that.
prohibit
So it doesn't have to be this
voice of a certain
and like he's got to really
country.
I just think the policies weren't really thought through on this one.
By the way, just
I just want
confirming.
to say this is what I love about Mario is so far, just since I've been in the space, he's argued for and against this policy, and he plays
Yeah, he's on the
sort of
fence.
like this middle ground. Yeah, and I love it. I love witnessing it. It makes me grin ear to ear because he doesn't take one stance or the other. He takes the opposition of whichever stance you're on, which is good. It's good for the talking points. It's good to kind of hammer out questions and solutions to all of this. And I do think that Elon listens to a lot of these conversations and takes in a lot of what we are suggesting and, sort of things that come out of these spaces. So I just want to commend you, Mario, on not
Thanks.
taking one stance or the other and just sort of playing devil's
Ashley has
advocate
a
a
hand
lot.
up, so let's let her...
Before
Ashley
going
was called up, yeah.
before going to Ashley, I brought you up because I know the point you want to make, and I think you and Sam would be great now to make both your points. I'll go to Sam's point first if you don't mind, Ashley, just because you did DM me and he has limited time, and then we'll go Ashley right after. Ian, the reason also I want to go to Sam is I'm going to trigger you, Ian. I like to trigger you sometimes. Sam, can you tell us about that EU law? Because Ian's not going to like it. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, not a lot of people like EU law, including Elon himself, because obviously there's been a lot of issues with autopilot in the EU. But let me just read it out. You cannot prevent consumers from linking up to businesses outside their platforms as a gatekeeper, which is the person who runs the platform. The consequences of non-compliance are fines of up to 10% of your worldwide annual turnover. So pretty heavy from the EU. And
can you read that? Sorry, can you read that first? They have to allow like Twitter has to allow linking to competitors of Twitter. Is that what you're saying?
The specific wording, examples of the don'ts: gatekeeper platforms may no longer prevent consumers from linking up to businesses outside their platforms. Now that sounds pretty clear to me. So you cannot say that you can't link from your platform to another business. I mean, this does look. People who know me know I'm a big supporter of Tesla and Elon Musk. I've been a long-term sort of Tesla advocate, etc. So I don't like to see this stuff. There's been a few things regarding the Twitter takeover that I've sort of found quite distasteful. Overall, I think Twitter will improve greatly as a platform, but these unilateral knee-jerk decisions are very, very damaging. And this is a knee-jerk decision, obviously, because
no, I don't. So Sam, do you think he's being strategic about it because he's already talking to EU regulators? There was an EU regulator in the audience. I tried to bring him up, and I want to bring an EU regulator onto the panel one day. But I have a question for you.
Silver, yes, I think he raised his hand to respond to Sam, so I'd like to go.
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. By the way, I've got just news. I think Stella Assange is joining us. I just got a message, so that's good news. But yeah, go ahead, Wall Street Silver.
Hey, so Sam, this is all about advertising, I think, for Elon. And Elon does have a history of putting out ideas, they don't work, and he backs off. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if this changes. We haven't seen the final version of this. But let me ask this. Under the EU rules, if he were to make this a paid feature of Twitter, where if you sign up for Twitter Blue, you can have if you're essentially advertising by having links to other platforms. So if he were to require people sign up for Twitter Blue in order to have links to other platforms, would that meet EU law, or is that also out of the boundaries?
It's a specific sentence in the example that they give, but one of the things we have to remember is Elon is running multiple companies. And EU law is ridiculously in depth. And so I would imagine, to be honest, that they weren't aware of this. I do think this is a knee-jerk reaction. I don't think this is about business.
There is a clause,
I think this is about Elon Jet specifically. This has really got to him. His family's been affected. I think we've got to sort of take away and remember this is an emotional thing. His little baby son was in a car, with a stalker. This has become very emotional for Elon this week, very specifically. This is because people were sharing Elon Jet links to those particular social media sites using Twitter. This is a personal thing for Elon. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction, and I do think it will be reversed. As you just said, look, over the years, Elon takes quick reactions. He's reversed on many, many things over the years as a businessman. I think that shows strength, to be honest. But sometimes, he'll act emotionally. I think in this circumstance, this is not about business. Social media platforms build, it can be beneficial if they're all sharing. Can you imagine if Facebook blocked links to Twitter? There would be complete uproar. It would be deemed censorship.
That's what I was wondering, Sam, has there been
Yeah.
any talk? Because I know that app stores had talked about blocking, not having Twitter, and then sort of backed out, went back on that. But has there been talk of other platforms not linking to Twitter or not
I'm
allowing
pretty
linking
sure
to Twitter?
no. I think,
Okay.
and I don't think those other platforms will respond in kind. I do think this is an emotional decision based on Elon's personal circumstances. I don't think it's about business, because it would be bad for business, because Twitter are still the smaller platform. So if you imagine if you couldn't share Twitter links on Facebook, I expect half the world wouldn't even know about Twitter right now. So Twitter are still the smaller platform. So this would be a really bad business decision for Twitter to make if it was then adopted by the larger platforms like Instagram and Facebook. So I believe this is knee-jerk reaction. I believe it's an emotional decision. I
Well,
don't
so-
believe it's a business
Well, can I just interrupt briefly?
Yeah,
There
Ian,
is-
and then Ian afterwards, if you can go to Ashley right
Just a
after you
tiny
respond.
bit, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. So there's a tiny bit here. What is not in violation of this policy, right? And this is how I think they can skirt the EU rule. It says that we recognize that certain media platforms provide alternative experiences to Twitter and allow users to post content to Twitter from these platforms. In general, any type of cross-posting to our platform is not in violation of the policy, even from the prohibited sites listed above. Additionally, and this is the key part here, it says here, additionally, we allow paid advertisement or promotion for any of the prohibited social media platforms. So they do allow you to buy ads to link to these other platforms. It's not a blanket ban. They do allow that.
Will they? Do you suppose, Ian, that they'll block you from DMing links as well to these other platforms, or anybody here?
Well, it really depends on how they implement the ban, right? Has anyone tried to link to Mastodon?
I don't think it'll go that far. It'll be
So,
tough.
so,
'cause
so I actually did try to link to Mastodon in my profile, and it just won't let it. It says this is malware.
What
No,
about
but
in
in a
DM?
DM,
Ed,
though.
can you
That's
try to
not gonna ban
send me a DM? Can you try to send me a DM?
Try
We'll put
something
Ed's
else, yeah.
account at
Maybe don't
risk
use
rather
Mastodon.
than
Try
mine. So
instantly.
Ed, send me a DM.
So yeah,
I think
Ed, send a
Ashley
DM to
can
Dara.
speak next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ashley.
because-
Yeah, from an
yeah.
antitrust, and I heard a bit of background noise from your end, Ashley. So just keep that in mind. Make sure the mic is close to your mouth. You can unmute, Ashley. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
If you can get the mic, if you can get the mic a tiny bit closer, it'll be better even.
Okay, sorry, I've actually never done this as a speaker before. Is this better?
It's a bit better. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I agree with Sam, and what I would want to point out is that a lot of people, although a lot of us look at this as a speech issue, and I very much appreciate what Musk has done in general, and especially in calling attention to these discrepancies, but the Federal Trade Commission in the United States really would like to see something come out of this. And they've been issuing policy statements recently, particularly on their Section 5 unfair methods of competition. And depending on how far he goes with this, and it containing some vague language such as does this violate the spirit of antitrust laws, and a lot of other things about this set of advertising that don't really necessarily fit here, but they could easily shoehorn in some sort of claim. I don't think that would necessarily survive in court, and I don't think it should, and I think it's a bad policy, but I do think that he should be very wary here.
What
Steven?
doesn't that play back into Twitter Blue though? If his goal is to drive revenue, then he would allow it with people who are willing to pay the $8, right?
Competitors.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to kind of add on to what Silver said. Silver, what you said earlier as well, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I just really think Elon, like, when we say Elon is making emotional decisions, I think this one seems less emotional and I think more strategic. He made that tweet. He's being very, he didn't tweet explaining it. It's just a policy by the Twitter account. He's seeing how people react. And then based on that reaction, he'll see how to structure it, how to monetize it. I'm sure there's different ways to monetize it. Maybe reverse it. I have no idea, but I just highly doubt that he's not going to allow them with different, through various monetization models. And now adding on to what Sam and Ashley said, from a regulatory perspective, I think regulators have Elon in their eyesight, and he can't keep pushing the envelope. So if that could get him in hot waters in the EU, especially in the EU, because they're not happy with Elon at all. Strategically, I would be surprised if it's a complete ban. So we might see more explanation next few days, as Silver said, and as Jason mentioned in his tweet, where hey, you can actually link to them, but you have to pay us. And I think that's very fair. He has to add monetization structures. Like, does anyone think it's not fair? Like, Ed, I'll go to Ed and Catherine. Do you guys think, and then we go to Stephen, do you think that if he adds a monetization model and still allows for you to link to these websites, would you consider that just free speech through monetization because it's still running a business?
So I mean, I go back to I think if he wants to do this, he can do it. I just think if you're saying it's a town square again, I think if you're charging somebody to speak in the town square, that's still violating free speech.
But it is a private business, though. We have to remember that. Like, he does have to monetize somehow.
What I'm saying is not a town square. Twitter's not a town square.
Yeah, I
he's
tend
like
to
agreeing with us.
agree.
We're just kind of talking over each other here. Yeah, but yeah, it's not a town square. It's it's a private platform. He can do what he wants, technically.
Yeah, I think I don't think any of us disagree with the fact that he can do what he wants and it's a private business, so he absolutely can. I think we've sort of established that. I think we're all on the same page with that, but I am with Ed that it's like if he adds that monetization aspect, then it does not sort of negate that.
Sorry, I have an update. I don't know if this is new. Let me send you that. Sorry to interrupt you, Catherine. I think it's important, and I'll let you continue what you're saying. Let me send this. Someone just sent it to me. Someone from the audience. I'll read it out. And Ian, maybe I'll send it to you because you dig deeper into this, and maybe you can pin it above. I've just sent it. It's the DM I got. Twitter support says in their tweet. So that was 1:37. I don't know what time zone he's in. Specifically, we will remove accounts, quote, created solely for the purpose of promoting other social platforms and content that contains links or username for the following platforms, blah, 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 blah. So does that mean accounts created solely for that purpose will be the ones that will be suspended? Can you have a look at what I sent you, Ian?
Does that mean something like would that mean like the corporate account for Gab or the corporate account for Mastodon? Something that is solely for that purpose.
I think it would be more along the lines.
Already in the.
Go ahead, Catherine. Sorry, you have to unmute.
The phrasing was already in the original, like the solely, but then it was sort of followed by these other clarifications. So it's possible that they've now sort of changed and tracked back.
No. This is before. This is before they even put out the updated rules was linked in the final tweet in that thread. So they're referring in particular, not necessarily to, business accounts that are promoting them. Like, for instance, Facebook has an account here, obviously, but they're not promoting Facebook, right? They're just here as a support thing. They're referring, in my opinion, right, and I think it's quite obvious, it should be quite obvious, that all these weird leftist accounts that have renamed their profiles to join me at loser@mastodon.com, it's those guys that they're referring to, right? Like, they
which, by the way, I don't take an issue with that myself. Like, if that account exists solely to link to another platform, I think they're within their rights to.
Like loser.mastodon.
All these they rename their profiles, so they changed their bios and they put their Mastodon page in there. Like Taylor Lorenz had done it to Substack, but obviously Substack is not a problem. It's not listed on there. But other
Hey Ian,
users...
stop advertising my Mastodon account, please.
We'll go to Stephen. You've been waiting for a while, Stephen.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Mario. Look, a couple things come to mind. Again, just to quickly state, I'm immensely grateful for what Elon Musk overall has done since his acquisition and the expansion of free speech. Hell, he took my profile out of the complete shadows because I was expressing what the previous Twitter administration would consider to be a wrong thing. So I'm immensely grateful for that. But we have to look at a few potential red flags kind of in a row here, which makes me think could be a possibility that he could be getting some what I would consider to be perhaps faulty advice. So I still do contend that banning Linktree is an overreach and too quickly. I think a fair remedy for this would be is to install a safeguard right now. So when people try to link to Linktree, the Twitter just doesn't let them, because right now, technically under the current terms of service, people can get suspended for having Linktree up in their account. I don't think that's fair. Not everyone's going to be not everyone's nerds and briefing themselves on these updates in terms of service on a daily basis. So a lot of people are just not going to know any better, right? So I think if he just takes out the ability for people to even link to all the aforementioned now banned platforms, I think that would be a lot more fair. Secondly,
you know what would be better is if they hired an actual writer to clarify these things, because clearly an engineer wrote the damn message and it's very confusing.
Yeah, that's so true. You can totally tell an engineer's writing this stuff.
Like my explanation of it, the one that Elon agreed with, is better written than the Twitter support.
I agree.
Message.
It totally
Have me write
is.
it and explain it to people, and people won't freak out, right? Like that's the issue. It's communication. And Twitter, like obviously, if Elon was writing it himself, it'd be fine. But he's a busy man.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they brought you on for a little PR there in that regard.
Definitely take over the thing. I mean, it's not like they have anybody else writing stuff right now. I mean, they fired everybody.
well, here's the other thing too, you guys. It was just the day before yesterday that it was also announced that there's going to be this incoming Reddit-style comment voting process, which I think
by the way has already been in place. That's the thing. That's another thing they didn't advertise, right? Like it's so funny because when not Jack but Parag Agrawal was actually experimenting with a downvote feature. It was in my client. I could literally downvote posts. That's funny, right? I could see people their comment and the replies going down and down and down every time I hit the downvote. It was brilliant. It was terrible because it was essentially de-amplifying people because I could downvote them, right? And
which is bad.
That. It is really bad. But
yeah, I really don't trust you, Ian, with that button.
Yeah, I know, but with the way that Elon is handling it is actually not bad, because what he's doing is allowing, as a paid service, you get to use your block list essentially as a way to de-amplify certain voices. Now, if you have a gigantic block list, that block list is useless, right? It's only useful for what it's used for. I mean, for what it's built for, which is to block people, but it's not going to be used to de-amplify anyone. So that actually negates the concern that there could be targeted blocking of people, right? This is a lot better than the previous system, which actually had a direct downvote system where you could downvote specific comments, and that would lead to the complete de-amplification of their account if they got hit with enough downvotes. So I'm like okay with this new system. It's somewhat opaque, yes, but it's only going to be for paid users. And if you want it really, really hard to, be a amplifier, there are ways to track it. First of all, there's ways to track it. If they see that, okay, this is kind of weird. Why is it that 100,000 paid accounts are blocking this person and they all have 0 followers? Okay, that's clearly a bot. Right, like that's.
But would it not de-amplify thoughts that are just like a little less popular, for example, and just like minimize, just kind of only promote ultimately mainstream news in a way, or mainstream news that like people who pay for the $8 blue checks support? Like and hide views that people
we
do
should
not.
all buy $8. We should all spend the $8, and we won't.
But then it's an echo chamber. Like I
here's
see that as a way.
Here's another thing. There's a way to outweigh it, right? This is what people are not remembering, is that when you buy Twitter Blue, and this is not implemented yet, but it will be in the future, your account will not be shadow banned, first of all, and secondly, you will gain a boost to amplification. So it sort of works its way out, right? It's like. It's a self, I don't know how to describe it, but basically it's just a way to get people to buy into it, and it's fantastic. I think it's a brilliant business idea.
Ian, don't you have concern over the possibility, like we know how, let's say, far leftist activist groups like to meet in their Discord groups and assemble to essentially target swarm specific
brigade is
brigade. I mean, it happens to you, it's been happening to me and more. Now what happens if these folks start swarming accounts like ours, right?
They should pay the $8.
Okay, so what you're saying is the probability that all those kinds of people are going to pay $8 would be more in a likely scenario.
Well, there's another problem though, which is that it's going to encourage you to block people more often. And then that will lead to people who wouldn't have otherwise blocked someone blocking them as part of their vote. I think it's a bad idea. I think another bad idea is the idea of allowing links to be blocked on Twitter. I'm against the last two moves Elon Musk has made. I'll just say that. I don't think they're smart. I think he should go back on them.
I think they
He
need
might.
to
I mean,
rehash that a
he's
little
not
bit,
someone who
but it's
he's
not
not someone
stupid.
who doesn't pivot or go back or change policy or revert if it's necessary. So I think, like I said, if there are enough voices and enough
I think
people
the issue,
speaking out and saying this
Mhm.
isn't going to work or this is why, he'll listen. He's not going
yeah,
to
he
just
will.
put his
He
foot
has walked
down.
back on
And
certain
I
things that were
respect
bad
that.
ideas. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
doesn't
done
just
that
say
multiple
it's an
times,
idea
so
just
that's
because
true.
it's an
I mean,
idea,
there's
right?
like a lot of
want
bad
to,
he's had has
yeah,
got
Matt.
time pushback.
First, Matt, welcome, Matt. Yeah, give us your thoughts on this, Matt. In the meantime, I'm gonna go. I've done two things before going to Matt. Have a look at the pinned tweet above Ian, Tara, and everyone else.
Can do.
Catherine.
And also, Wall Street Silver has had his hand up, so I think he wants something to say here on this.
Yeah, sure. So after Matt, jump in, Silver. And also, there's Steve Pierce just made a thread. I'm gonna try to bring him on about EU law and the risks for Twitter. I'm gonna pin it above and send him an invite to join. But go ahead, Matt and Silver.
Yeah, so what I was saying is he does typically reverse course whenever there's an idea that's getting a different reception than what he originally expected it to. Oh, okay. Looks like I'm going the wrong way.
Okay, let's
Anyway.
get Wall Street Silver in if that's okay. Or Matt, are you still going?
I want to respond to that little thing you pinned up there. The guy's a fucking moron. Just want to say that because he's claiming that any sort of moderating actions in removing his tweets or telling him to remove the tweets is a violation of Section 230. No, it's not. Section 230 essentially gives platforms the right to moderate the platforms as they see fit. So
I don't see that. I don't see that up there.
It's pinned up there. It's the one by Eric or Eric. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's French. So he's a moron. He's wrong. And yeah.
Have a look at the other one. I've pinned another one by Steve Pierce. So maybe Ian, you can quickly read it while we go to Silver.
I don't see the Steve one.
I've just pinned it. I've just pinned it now.
I agree with Ian on that. It doesn't. Section 230 doesn't make it become an editorial media.
Yeah,
I hate when something just false goes viral when it's factually just false.
Yeah, they need to. I mean, there's no legal grounding.
Everybody, this fucking guy, this Eric guy, he closed the comments on his thing, so you can't even tell him that he's wrong, and that's why it's getting all this traction because all these dumbass liberal journalists are retweeting it because they're like, oh look, Elon, the walls are closing in on Elon Musk. You know they're going to come down on him.
Silver,
jump him with 20%
Silver,
of his
jump
fees.
in, Silver.
He's
Ian is
gonna
having a
become
breakdown.
bankrupt.
Silver, jump in, save him.
All right. Well, I mean, I think I was looking at a lot of the liberal, all of those liberal journalists who were being suspended. I was actually checking out all of their accounts on Social Blade to see how their follower accounts were changing. And all of them have been trending down as in losing thousands, if not tens of thousands of followers during November and December, basically since Elon took over. And when I look at conservative accounts, I see the exact opposite. They're all gaining tens of thousands. Sort of the large, sort of let's call them influencer accounts. And what I think Elon is seeing at the data level under the hood is that the platform is losing liberals. They are going to other platforms like Mastodon or wherever it is they're going to. And what this might be is a targeted effort to stop the hemorrhaging of losing the left wing audience that was on Twitter. That might be part of it. The other, and think about it, what's the other group that's most impacted by this new change in policy? It's the people who use Linktree the most. And I don't know, a lot of this is, there's a lot of sex workers and things like that that are on Twitter using Linktree and these other platforms. This might be an effort to reduce some of that type of content also on Twitter by removing the use of Linktree. That's just what I'm speculating.
I don't want to assume that it has anything to do with sex workers or any of that because Elon's not specifically saying that. But I do see what you guys are saying. But I also know a lot of people do use Linktree, and I'm wondering if this even applies to all my links, which is another one like Linktree, basically the same thing. But I didn't see it listed. But I think it's more of an issue of what I said originally in the space is that he cannot have the manpower to go individually check every single link tree to ensure you're not linking to Instagram or Facebook or these other platforms that he doesn't want you linked to, where they could potentially be allowed to share the doxing that was going on here that is now banned. I don't know if it's going to be banned or against TOS or rules on other platforms, and I don't know that he knows that. Maybe he does know that they allow it, and that's why he doesn't want those links or those people going to those platforms.
In terms of sex workers, I saw a speaker request by someone from CumRocket, C-U-M Rocket. So I assume that's a project, a crypto project in the adult industry. Is that a fair assumption, Kieran?
It's a scam. It's a scam.
Oh, okay, so let's not talk about the project. But the reason I brought you up is, I assumed it's from the adult industry, and I saw your tweet about it. Is that what you wanted to comment on in terms of people working in the adult space, adult entertainment space that were impacted by this?
Before we get into that, I just want to mention that Eric Fresson, the guy that you linked at the top, he's the French Minister for Digital, but he doesn't seem to know what he's talking about.
Let's try to bring him on, man. Send him a message.
No, he's not allowing replies or anything. So there's
like, no, you can't send him a DM.
No, I can't.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
you can.
So can I just ask? Can I just ask everybody? Does no one here really think that this was just a knee-jerk, emotional, personal reaction from Elon?
I
don't really believe.
I think it's calculated.
I'm telling you from what I know, I think this whole policy was concocted in the last 7 days. I genuinely believe that because if it hadn't been, and again, I think obviously there's a lot of people outside the EU on this panel, and I don't think maybe you realise just how liberal, left-leaning, etc. And I'm not saying that in a good or bad way. The EU is, so don't be surprised by these EU laws. When you've lived in the EU, you get it, and you're not surprised by this stuff. So don't be surprised that this is a major breach of EU law. And if they'd planned this, somebody in the legal team would have known this. So I think this is a very, very much a reaction to what's happened to Elon personally over the last few days. The thing, if you read the Twitter policy on it, it says they will suspend accounts that are obviously deliberately set up to advertise other platforms, and they will obviously be using AI to effectively prevent people from linking in the rest of the cases. So I don't think people are going to go around necessarily losing their accounts. They're just not going to be. It's not very complex for the engineers at Twitter to prevent people from doing a link to Instagram.com.
It's very easy.
It's very, very simple. So these links are just not going to be on the platform. And it also says if you try to disguise a link by using docs and things like this, that content will be removed, and you can face a suspension for deliberately trying to circumvent. But I still honestly believe, because of the what I see, and maybe people will disagree, that there is a clear breach here of EU law, that this was not planned. I think the evidence that this was not planned is there.
We don't know about it, Sam. It's too early, I think, to breach EU law because he just announced it. No clarity yet. No clarity.
And that's the problem with the communications at Twitter, right? They need a better.
But I don't know if it's a problem with communication. Maybe it's intentional to see how people respond before communicating further. Maybe it's like the
build. It's already happening that they. I mean, it's funny because a few weeks ago Elon was like mocking Mastodon, and now I think he sees them as a threat because there's obviously, there's financial implications in everything for Elon right now. He had to sell $3.5 billion of Tesla stock last week to continue to prop Twitter up. So there's a lot going on beyond this that is personal for Elon. So I think for me personally, my opinion is this is not something that's been planned in depth by Twitter over the last few weeks.
Before we get into that, I've been messaging an info security lawyer, and he says that he doesn't like the policy, but he says that it does not in any way affect the company's Section 230 immunity. So just wanted to put that one there.
Appreciate the clarity. And before we continue, the point that Sam made, and I think Matt wanted to comment on it. Kieran, just wanted to ask you a question. Like, did you want to comment on the people within the adult entertainment industry?
Wait, before we jump back and forth, I brought up someone from the EU who had a comment in regard to the wording in this policy. Adam, you had something that you were saying we aren't reading in the fine print. Can you bring that up?
Thanks, Tara. Just for clarity, I'm in the UK. I'm not in the EU. Sam is in the EU.
Oh, my bad.
Not anymore, Adam. Good old days are gone, are they? I'm joking.
Yeah,
it's a sensitive
sure,
subject.
Sure. But no, Sam's in Spain, to the best of my knowledge, which is part of the European Union. The UK is a little bit different, but nonetheless, similar laws apply. So there's two things going on here. First of all, one is the official one, which is on help.twitter.com or whatever the TLD is, right? And then there's the tweet that's gone out, and they are different. And I think it's worth looking at that. So the one on the help thing just says basically all links to these platforms, right? Whatever it is, Facebook, etc. But if you look in the actual Twitter support thread, it says accounts solely created for the purpose. So there's a huge disparity there. Huge disparity. Has anybody else seen that?
Yeah,
No, you're absolutely right.
I've noticed that. Yeah,
correct.
that's an issue. That's why I said it's an issue of communication, right? It's like, what's going on? What are the rules? Like, precisely which rules should we follow? The ones written down in the website, or the ones on Twitter.com itself, where it tells you that, hey, this is just designed solely for those spam account type things.
Right, and I'm sure it's probably the latter. I think is the way it would be intended, because what Sam has said is absolutely right. The only way you could circumvent that, as per EU law, now whatever you think of the European Union, it doesn't really matter. But there are a lot of people there. In fact, it's a bigger population than the United States. So it's a big user base, and it's a very monetizable user base. So you don't really want to lose the EU overall. And the UK tends to lean with the EU slightly more than the States. So there's actually quite an interesting thing here. Whether it's a knee jerk or not, I don't think necessarily matters. What's needed is clarity, because you're going to have all these millions of accounts that have got link trees in their profile that are suddenly going, oh shit, I need to change this. Or maybe don't check Twitter every day or something, and then suddenly end up binned. And they might be small businesses that actually make a living online. They might have a link tree that links through to an Etsy or something like that, or whatever it might be. Something that's pretty innocuous. So there needs to be clarity around that. So whoever can find that out really should be finding that out as soon as possible. I think that's important.
Hey, well, at least the OnlyFans is still safe, so I'm in good shape. So don't worry, guys.
Well, whether you do that or not, we don't know the answer to that question at this point, because if it's through a link tree, no, it's very easy to. You don't need any manual process to go through link trees and things like that and so on. They're all followed links. So you may well have a bunch of really nice links to whatever they might be. You might have written a bunch of blogs about how great Twitter is, and then you might have something else in there which maybe just links to some Instagram thing that you did 8 years ago, and suddenly you get binned. So there needs to be clarity around that.
And the lack of clarity also is why I think this is knee-jerk, because if this was a major policy shift, they would have had some congruency between the tweet and the actual rules as well. I think this is something where there's been a text from Elon saying, "I'll get that policy online now. Something's annoyed me today." I know it sounds quite dramatic for me, but we've seen this before, and I think that's probably what it was.
It does
And
sound
also
quite
the
dramatic
reason
from you, Sam.
I believe the reason why Elon Musk implemented this comes down to people using Mastodon and other profiles to share his location, and so he's
Agreed,
seen
Matt.
this, I believe.
100%.
Yeah, he's seen this, I believe, as a way to prevent that. But I will say, I don't think Twitter needs to ban links to be the top social media app. The trajectory Elon's putting it on is really, really, really smart. He's adding so many amazing features. This platform is going to go crazy. It is going to pass easily some of the other top platforms on the internet, I believe, over the coming years. And so if I was Elon, I would just play it a little bit safer, let people share links, even if it is just the policy that's banning people from dedicating their account to that. Even still, I would say, all right, whatever, free speech. You can do that if you want. We're still going to win in the end. If you're sharing a link specifically to something that's doxing me, okay, that's banned. But that's, I think, how the policy should be implemented rather than the way it is being implemented.
So someone just DM'd me a really good point, and I want to remind people that all of this rule change, policy change came after he banned Taylor Lorenz last night. She had deleted all of her tweets and then put up one tweet with all of her links to other social media platforms, and then her account was banned shortly thereafter. I believe that was her very last tweet. I'm not 100% sure, but it was one of the last tweets that she made. I think, this person made a really, really good point in my DM saying that, there's this issue, and this is coming from Brian. He says, here's an outsider thought. Journalists enjoyed becoming relevant and popular by left-leaning bias in media. They became popular and famous, got promotions and success. Twitter 2.0 exposed the lies and ridiculous bias, and now they have to start from scratch because it's a level playing field. Credibility must be earned now instead of given freely because you leaned left. And I sort of wonder if a lot of this does come from the frustration of, these they kind of had like this dominance over the domain, over all of Twitter. There was this definite, like, you have to kind of toe the line and be left leaning in order to be accepted or popular here. And now those same people who are feeling like accounts are being brought back that were wrongfully suspended, that are more conservative, they're all just kind of saying, okay, I'm out of here. Oh, and by the way, go find me on my other social platforms, and using Twitter as a means to just drive traffic to these other social media platforms, which could become an issue for Twitter because now, that's money out of Twitter's pocket. And essentially they're using Twitter in that way. So, I mean, I do see it as an issue. I do see it as a business move. I know a lot of people think it's an emotional reaction, and I do see that side of it too, where if these other platforms are allowing these links to be shared that are doxing Elon or his family, then that is an issue as well. So I don't know. That was a good point, Brian. Thank you.
I like Tara as well. Tara, you've made both points as well. Initially, you said it could be based on what happened with his family, and now you're saying, but also could be a smart business decision. So Tara, you're balancing it out as well. Look at you. It's a good one. I do want to say I invited Taylor Lorenz just now. We were chatting yesterday after, because I know that she was brought up in yesterday's
She's not
space. Everyone was
coming
discussing
in.
it.
She even left when Lives of TikTok joined her Instagram.
No, but she
yesterday.
messaged me. She messaged me yesterday. She's happy to join the space.
Oh, she wants to join it. Then we got
Yeah, no,
Is she suspended or unsuspended? I'm just curious.
unsuspended
She's been
now.
unsuspended.
Yeah, unsuspended
Okay.
now. David, would love to get your thoughts on this. I know you've been waiting for a while, and I see Tom is in the house as well. Tom, you could jump in as well anytime.
Oh no, I just had a simple question about the ability to post content, but as I understand it now, since I've been listening to this room, that's not going to be an issue, right? So, for instance, it's only about links or screenshots of links, but it has nothing to do with screenshots of content or anything of that nature, correct?
Yeah,
No,
I think it's just the
think
links. It's
the way Tara just described it makes perfect sense to me. This is a competitive. It just makes no sense for Elon to provide the gateway for everyone to exit Twitter, especially the radical leftists who are trying to exit right now and guide their whole audience, their Twitter audiences, to the new platforms of where they want to go to. Why should Elon aid that? So that that just makes total sense the way Tara described it.
But
Well, this is one of the things I thought was funny initially about this whole debate is that Musk buys Twitter, and all of a sudden we're supposed to all have an expert opinion about how many people should be employed at Twitter, right? And we all have to. The media is supposed to be concerned about.
Elon just tweeted about this, by the way. He just responded to Ian. It just literally within the past few seconds of Ian wants. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Was talking, but I just saw that pop up.
I shall read it. He says, and I'll read my tweet first. I said, "You're allowed to cross-post other platforms. You just can't create or turn your account into a free advertising unit for one of the listed competing platforms." Very straightforward. Elon replied to me and he said, "Exactly. Twitter should be easy to use, but no more relentless free advertising of competitors. No traditional publisher allows this, and neither will Twitter."
So my question is, what happens when
well, that's
Twitter
confusing.
has the long form post? Do they start banning Substack and other competitors?
I guess we'll see, but I wanted Tom to get to finish his point that he was getting
let's
at.
get back to Tom.
So this is kind of a business approach he's taken, and I don't think the analysis needs to be as political as some are making it to be. Although I think it's a confusing process. I'm a user, and I kind of was looking at it from the perspective of someone who does a lot of linking outside of Twitter. And I read it. I'm not that stupid. And I found it to be confusing. And I could see how it's being interpreted in the way that Elon is suggesting and others are suggesting here, that you basically can't be a spammer using Twitter to link outside, but it doesn't necessarily read that way. And and when Elon says no other publisher would allow this, well, Twitter isn't a publisher. This is supposed to be a free speech platform, or platform through which people can make their ideas known or provide access to other ideas on other platforms. And I understand there could be business reasons for not wanting that to be the case, but I'm just concerned that even fairly interpreted, this could chill dissemination of information from folks who are not clear about how it's going to be enforced, or how the rules are actually. I don't think it's been explained sufficiently, at least based on what's been published to date, that I would be confident in linking to outside material in a regular way. I don't know what substantial means. There are all sorts of words there that have potential meanings that can be that don't provide certainty to users.
Yeah,
I'm just asking Ian, should we before we go to Matt and Ed, Ian, I just message you, should we invite Elon? You said he's busy now. Just is it because of the World Cup?
Yeah, he's at the World Cup. I wouldn't bother him right now. It's a weekend. He's hanging out with people right now.
Yeah,
I don't think he really wants to deal with this at the moment.
Yeah, well, I
So,
wasn't
no.
thinking to message him, but then my team's like, Mario, it's a relevant topic, so I'm thinking whether it's worth it.
I know, but like, I don't feel.
No, we can't
bothering him with this.
haul Elon in here for every spaces. Don't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
Let's
Don't get in
have
that
this
habit.
debate out, and
Sure you
Don't get
can.
in that habit.
I'm more than happy to talk about this and on the tweets, because he can do it in between other things. But if he has to join here,
Don't wear out the privilege of being able to message Elon too often, Mario. That's just my
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I
no,
just kind of
leave it
try
at that.
to frame that into a tweet as well. And I just said Twitter was a left-leaning journalistic monopoly that suddenly went back to an even playing field. So a bunch of liberal journalists start a mass Twitter exodus. So therefore, Elon Musk, in my opinion, has every right to not provide this gateway, like Wall Street Silver suggested. And I do believe it comes from that suspension and then reinstatement of Taylor Lorenz's account. She was basically tweeting out to her however many followers to go follow her on all these other socials. And a lot of other people have done the same because they don't like that Elon's taking over. They don't like that Elon has brought back accounts that were wrongfully suspended. They don't like an even playing field. They liked it when they had the monopoly over Twitter. And I think he is essentially just cutting them off at the knees and saying, well, go figure it out then. And he's instead, when you think about it, these accounts that were suspended 2-3 years ago, they didn't have the opportunity to post up their socials and say, hey, go follow me here before I'm suspended from Twitter. They just got cut out. They just got kicked off the platform. No one could find them anymore. They were just gone and shunned, including our own president. So imagine, that's essentially what he's saying here is, yeah, you can leave Twitter, but you don't get to go tell all of your hundreds of thousands or millions of followers to go to these other social platforms with you.
Yeah, but why? Why not? I mean, why not?
Money, business. I mean, think about it from a business perspective. Would you be okay? It's almost like him allowing Ford to come open up shop on a Tesla, in a Tesla factory, or if he had a Tesla dealership and had Ford posted up there selling their EVs. It's kind of the same difference.
But when you commit to enforcing terms of service that err on the side of speech, or enforce terms of service that are kind of narrowly tailored to advance Section 230, and then you get into the business of policing advertising or statements that could be perceived, even in a one-off way, as promoting an outside third-party application. I think that's that's kind of a new area of content moderation that I don't think any other platform has engaged in before, and it makes me think if he's
platform.
Excuse
Smaller
me?
platforms like forums and actually Reddit
Reddit has very strict linking rules. It specifically bans certain businesses from even being posted on there. Like, the EU is like trying to crack down on Twitter. It's like Reddit actually set the precedent. They've been doing this for 10 plus years.
Based on commercial or political content.
Both.
Both.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm all over Reddit, and all of our links are all over Reddit. But Reddit does automatically, at the headquarters level, Reddit admins, they block anything to Zero Hedge, they block anything to Seeking Alpha, and a few other websites like that. Gateway Pundit is completely blocked. I'm a moderator of a very large subreddit on Reddit, and I can't override that.
Yep, I used to be a super moderator.
But these are
I had like
businesses.
access to world news, politics, WTF, ask me anything. So I know how the things work behind the scenes, and 100% it is driven by the executive level, and they prohibit links to specific businesses, and they can even ban specific YouTube channels. They even do that. They either
Ed, I
shadow
know
ban it or they ban it hard.
Ed, you wanted to speak. By the way, I've sent a couple of invites to a few
Yeah.
interesting speakers, and we have John has managed to join. So, John, I'll give you the mic in a bit as well. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, from a liberal point of view, what happens if, let's say, Elon Musk has a really hard time getting advertisers, and let's say the NRA comes along and starts giving him millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars for advertising, and some people start tweeting anti-gun stuff, and Elon starts thinking, I really need to start banning some of these anti-gun posts on Twitter because I want to make the right business decision, and he starts banning liberal post, anti-gun post. Where do you draw the line? Is that too far? Like, so I mean, I mean, I see what Elon's doing here, and I really don't disagree with it. But how do we know where that line is?
Well, I will say I don't think there's really any chance Elon Musk will go to that level. But at the same time, I do agree with Tom on some of the points he's making, because I will give Twitter, the previous administration, credit. I mean, yes, they were really, really, really bad in a lot of areas, banning people and stuff like that. But they did allow Gab, for example, True Social, other platforms like that. They allowed them to have Twitter accounts to continue posting, telling people to go over there. And I would have been very upset if the previous Twitter administration, which to their credit they didn't do, if they had said, okay, we're banning these links now to any degree. I would prefer to just have an open space where everyone can post stuff like that. And I think Elon Musk probably will reverse course on this. My understanding of the situation, it looks like he was initially planning to do a more strict ban. Then he walked it back some to only banning accounts dedicated to that. And I believe he'll probably walk it back even more over time. So we'll watch Elon and see what he does.
I'm wondering if this is an indication that he's thinking of a platform that has significant walls around it in terms of public access, that there's going to be ultimately a paywall for a significant portion of the services. And because some of these rules kind of fit in, it would seem to me, with a very highly moderated, not moderated, but curated set of services on Twitter, and this is something that makes me think that if you're going to join the private club, these are the rules you have to abide for before doing so, which would be a different approach than the bulletin board. The bulletin board history of these social media platforms, at least as initially envisioned.
And all the analogies I'm hearing people discussing at the moment, would Ford allow you to advertise Tesla on their forecourts? I think we're missing the point here. The rule, if you read the actual terms and conditions, are you cannot link to your Instagram and things like that. Now, if Elon really wants Twitter to become this town square, this platform of free speech, then surely we can agree that this policy is not right. This is not about businesses. This is about telling people that if they try to do a link to their Instagram on Twitter, the AI will prevent that link from being possible. I think, we're talking about the business side of this, but why don't we talk about the personal side? The vast majority of people who use Twitter are personal users, and they're being told that they cannot openly share things that they want to share. Somebody might see something they want to share on Instagram. They cannot now share that link, as far as I understand. because it says in the terms and conditions that URLs will be blocked. So, I think that's the bigger picture. It's not about businesses advertising Mastodon on Twitter and things like that. That is not the issue. The issue arose, as I think we all kind of understand, of people saying, I'm leaving Twitter, follow me elsewhere. Fine. That's just a short-term issue that's happened in the last few days because of actions that were taken. But surely this is a free speech thing. Surely this is a platform. This is not Twitter does not produce content. Twitter is a conduit for people to share their ideas, their thoughts, their content, their businesses, everything. And if Twitter start taking the role of a censor, a decision maker about what can be posted on very reasonable things, if someone wants to share something they put up elsewhere or something they found elsewhere, then surely this is the extreme version of Twitter that Elon was fighting against. This is censorship, except it seems to be coming in the other direction.
What's your take on the doxing that took place? Do you think that should have been censored and banned, or kept and allowed?
No, I agree with that, and I was open about that. I agree that when it comes to personal safety and things like this, and I don't think that people should have been using Twitter to by proxy dox Elon through other socials, and I think that is why this blanket policy.
The reason I bring that up, Sam, is are these other platforms allowing that, and is that potentially a reason he doesn't want to people to be allowed to link to these other platforms where they could be doing that?
It's a very good point, but that's probably 0.0001% of the effect of this policy. Now, when you have a policy that affects hundreds of millions of people, when there's only 5 or 6 offenders, then it's a policy based on personal issues that Elon Musk has faced, which I fully sympathize, and I absolutely agree. People doxing people, whether directly or through links, should be banned from the platform. That's a clear policy. But now saying that, if you want to share an Instagram video of someone's, Labrador doing something charming, that link is going to get blocked. That is not free speech, and that is not why Elon says he took over this platform.
I wonder if he's going to have any legal issues from regulators who will look at some antitrust issues related to that type of regulation.
Yeah, well, it's illegal in the EU already. It's what he's doing is specifically illegal in the EU, and that could be a very, very costly mistake. So he needs to, that's why I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, because I don't think they looked into the law when they put this policy out.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
just,
the question is, if
I
it's
sent
illegal in the EU, why is it allowed on Reddit?
What's the question again on Reddit?
I mean, if it's illegal, if blocking links and stuff is illegal in the EU, why is it allowed on Reddit? I mean, why is Reddit allowed to get away with it?
Ian, is the Reddit policy one that is from the management, or is it a power available to individual moderators and group and those who run the groups?
It is a management decision.
It is both, actually. As a moderator of a subreddit, I can write the code in sort of the auto mod where it automatically blocks any URL or any domain that I want to. I could do that at the subreddit level. But then there's a group of websites such as Zero Hedge, Gateway Pundit, Seeking Alpha, and a few others that at the headquarters level are just blocked everywhere. So yeah, just you can do
and
more.
Reddit also bans self-promotion, right? You got to keep that in mind. Like, so what people do here on Twitter, which is, hey, go to my other profile in Mastodon or Instagram, that's not allowed on Reddit. They will ban you for it. But that is literally a bannable offense.
That's not the case, Ian. I mean, you go look at my subreddit, and we got links all over the place to every other platform.
It's gonna mix, right? I mean, like, I know that you have to, like, one of the rules is, sorry for the echo, is like one of the rules that you have to do is that you have to link like 10 other sites before you can link to one of your own.
But a side note, Ian, I did send a DM inviting Elon if he has time. I doubt he can join because of the World Cup, but it would be good to get some more clarity.
That's a really. Oh, sorry.
So now go ahead, Catherine. You haven't spoken in a while.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify, Ian, if the requirement is to link to a bunch of links before you're able to do your own, that's just to ensure that you're not spamming, right? That's just to make sure that
They
you're
have
not.
actually banned a bunch of comic book artists for even linking to their own content on a Reddit wide thing, not just from, say, our comics or something. So there were a couple of artists. I I forget the guy's name, but he used to link to his own thing. He used to get a lot of upvotes, and then Reddit's administrators decided that they were giving him free advertising, and that was bad, and so they banned him.
Well, I don't
Completely.
know, but that sounds like some sort of an exceptional case, but that's not an overall rule.
No,
But
it's an overall rule. It is literally an overall rule. You cannot be nonstop linking to your own thing
oh well,
unless you
nonstop.
run
But
your
again,
own subreddit.
that's again spamming, right? Like, so that falls into that they're
Well,
trying to curb
I don't think
spamming,
it's
which
they're
is
calling
fair.
it spamming, but like the point
Non-stop
is
linking is spamming. I also have no issue, for example, with Twitter, like, what they said, like, if
yeah,
you're
but
setting
couldn't
up
that
an
be
account
interpreted?
just to promote other accounts, right?
Yeah, but couldn't that be interpreted under the EU rules as because nothing they're doing is illegal, and yet they're
Yeah,
preventing
I
you from
can't
linking
speak
to
to
it?
the
So it's like
yeah,
that's
that I
my
mean
point,
that
right?
seems
It's like
more
why are they
complex.
looking at Twitter, but they're not looking at these other websites that do it all the time? I mean, why the exception for Twitter?
Well, but Twitter
Well-
is first of all, we just heard, that's a new policy that just came in. Elon did make a particular commitment that he seems to be walking away from. And I mean, I do think the fact that he tweeted back to you and he said this is now like a traditional publisher, that is really alarming. Now, I think I'm really concerned when he tweets between like watching a game and he is tweeting like a major policy like that. That is like a big deal. And I think a lot of the issues that we're running in with is because he's constantly tweeting and he's kind of doing things on the fly. Honestly,
Elon's just tweeted.
Yeah,
actually,
he
guys,
just
and
I
I
just
think
just
it's a
saw
bit
it.
of a U-turn already. He's now just said casually sharing occasional links is fine, but no more relentless advertising. So I think that for me,
Oh my God.
which is good, obviously. But now it's very fuzzy. You know, you can't just say, well, it's okay if you do this, but not that. So I would say that's probably because they suddenly thought, oh shit, this isn't
So that's
necessarily the
literally
best
what
idea.
I just
I think
said.
so.
That
The
he's
issue,
casually doing things on the fly, and this is causing all
I
these
don't think
confusion.
so. Here's the issue. The issue is that we're all reading the website, but we're not reading the tweets. And the tweets were where my impression of this came from, and those are the ones he's agreeing with. So the tweets are actually accurate. That is the policy. It's designed to stop people from self-promoting. That is literally the policy. But the issue here now is that the support page is not congruent with the stated policy on twitter.com. So they need to reword that. That is, I think, the biggest
that is a
issue.
problem. And for example, one thing they could be doing is instead of like having like Elon tweets, a Twitter account tweet, updating the policy, what really they should be doing is really pushing out. And whenever they make a big policy change, it really should just be pushed out to all the Twitter, users at once from the main official Twitter account. Really, that would help a lot. And it also should all be sort of coordinated. And really, Elon probably shouldn't be tweeting these like major policy changes. He could, enhance it, but he really, because it's kind of all over the place. It's not coordinated and it's worded differently in different places.
Yeah,
Well,
but overall, I would say that I love the way Elon Musk operates in regards to that because that's how he gets stuff done fast. That's why he's different than the other social media companies. Yes, he has to throw things off the wall. Yes, we'll disagree and we'll criticize some of them, but the product at the end is going to be a way faster development process, a way better platform with way more features, and overall, all the kinks will be ironed out. So I personally love his style and the way he's going about it.
Just to add to that point, remember the Silicon Valley model is break stuff, fail fast. So he doesn't mind blowing up rockets. Remember how many rockets they intentionally blew up developing Falcon 9? He doesn't mind breaking things. And so doing this with Twitter is not. It's totally fine for Elon to break Twitter for a few days in this process. He doesn't
Within
care.
a few hours.
Look, sometimes
really quick for anyone listening, really quick, I pinned a poll at the top, and I tweeted a poll asking people, and this is mainly for the listeners who can't come up and share their opinions. If you want to go vote on that, but it's, do you support the new Twitter policies? And so far there are 2,300 votes, and it's 77% for yes. So I just want to let you guys know, the panel up here, it's interesting that a lot of people do agree with these new policies for whatever reasons.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, there's
Catherine,
I
I'll give you the mic,
I
Tom.
just retweeted your poll, so let's all
Yeah,
retweet that poll and get a lot more.
Yeah, and I want Catherine. Catherine, can
I
you do a
appreciate
similar?
that, Silver. Thank you for retweeting it. It just helps to get a bigger audience and a bigger number of votes, and I don't know, more accurate.
Yeah, I'll retweet it as well. But I want also Catherine. I'm just curious. Can you do a similar poll, Catherine, separately? Because I know you have a different audience. You and Ed. Maybe you and Ed and Brian could like retweet it. And I want to see what your poll, what the result is from your poll. Be very curious. And let me retweet Tara's now. Tom, you go ahead. Sorry.
Thanks. Yeah,
Not at all, Tara.
did he intend this? It looks like as an anti-spam policy. I mean, I know on my feed I often see links to Telegram. Thank me, go here. You'll thank me for it later. So there was a lot of spam related to third-party links, which I think would be appropriate to try to curtail. I guess initially written, it suggested that, as I said, individual users promoting their individual websites outside of Twitter would be dinged, and I can't imagine that's going to be sustained. It just doesn't seem sustainable, or gets it to where he wants it to be, which is a platform where people feel comfortable posting, and spam is frowned upon or curtailed. And to the degree this is used to curtail spam, count me in.
But one of the tools they've had, and I've measured this in terms of engagement. If I do a tweet that has a link to another website, it gets dramatically lower engagement automatically. And I think that's just the algorithm. The goal of Twitter is to keep you on Twitter. So if I do an image screenshot of an article versus if I do a hyperlink to that article, the image screenshot version of that tweet would do dramatically better. So they already have the functionality and tools to deboost, let's call it deboost, any sort of tweet that has a hyperlink offsite. And
Which is very
that's not new.
problematic.
There's no problem with that. They all do that. If I do something on Facebook, the same way, a link to a YouTube video from Facebook gets way less engagement than other types of tweets.
See, I thought that was a
Every
problem,
platform's
Tom.
like that. Every platform's like that.
I
And
see
so,
that as a huge problem, Tom. Do you not see that as a problem?
It's already been like that, though, Catherine. You just didn't know it because there was no transparency.
No, Tara, I did know about it. Unfortunately, and I thought that I was quite critical of that before this. I thought that was a huge problem. I was hoping that would be fixed, because I think it's important for us to be able to share these links, because they are a source of content, information. It is part of free speech, because we're able to learn about the world, things that are going on around us, and that was curbed because it gives a lot more context when you're able to share these links than a short tweet.
well, I think something else I've noticed is, like, I do videos on YouTube. If I host the video on Twitter, like if it's less than 10 minutes long, doing a video on Twitter where it's hosted on Twitter and you stay within the Twitter ecosystem performs dramatically better versus a link to YouTube of the exact same video content. So I think the goal here Elon has is to build the tools so that you can share that type of content within the Twitter ecosystem. And that would require longer video. Right now, the video length for a free account is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. If you have Twitter Blue, you can do video length up to 10 minutes. And I think his goal is I've seen him tweet that the goal is to take it into an even longer format and provide monetization for video creators so that they have more reason to stay on Twitter and not do this and do the same things they're doing on YouTube. I think that's in his
And he wants to pay them more as well.
Yeah.
He wants to pay them a bigger, content creators. Do you remember Wall Street Silver? Do you remember the dialogue he had with Mr. Beast, who has the most subs on YouTube out of any YouTuber? I think he has over 100 million subs now. He had a dialogue just within the last couple of weeks with Mr. Beast, where Mr. Beast said, if Elon, goes this route, he will be switching over to Twitter.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll probably do both, but he'll probably make some content specifically for Twitter to test that out and see which one is better for him. Wouldn't surprise me if he does that. Yeah.
I want to just mention two quick things. Number one, Tara, Ian, if you see, or anyone, if you see Elon in the audience, would be great. Just let me know because I'm not checking. I do have a point to make regarding. I think some of you mentioned. Is it because of the doxing situation? I don't think so, because they didn't say, hey, linking to another account. That was already clarified yesterday. If you link to another account that is doxing, because you can dox on multiple platforms.
Man, these fucking blue check marks, all they do is reply to Elon nonstop with garbage.
Yeah, and that's the
You're
check
a
mark.
blue check, Ian.
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
Now it's an
We're all
insult to.
garbage, Ian.
Now it's an
We're
insult.
all-
Yeah, it's an insult to have the blue check.
Look,
But
every speaker on here is a blue check mark. Okay.
every audience, every audience.
But did you pay the $8, Ian? Huh?
No, I don't. Not yet. I don't
Ooh,
have.
you're one of
I don't
you're
have,
one of the
I don't
special
have
ones,
it.
Ian.
I don't have the option to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, you do. It's now available as of a few days. I mean, I
Yeah.
had a legacy blue check before, and I've switched over already to Twitter Blue on the new account.
If you swap, does it still say you're because you were important or not important, or do you have it checked that the description now is like you paid?
It changes. Like sometimes it says I'm notable, sometimes it says I'm legacy and I'm maybe notable, and then sometimes it says I'm a Twitter Blue subscriber. So it literally changes all the time. When I
Mine
check
says may or may not be notable, which is
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah.
I like even Elon's one says it may or may not be notable. I was just checking it now.
Yeah, he said he wrote that language.
John,
you know what's going to be so hilarious is when they reach the deadline where all the legacy blue checks are removed in like the next 60 or 90 days. I don't know when the exact date is, and then we see which liberals actually cave and pay the $8. That will be hilarious.
He's also going to remove unused account name. Like he said, he's going to open up account names. Like say your name is Steve and there's an account Steve that's just sitting there idle for years with no followers. He's going to remove those accounts so that it'll open up those account names for people to grab.
I've got another update. Go ahead, Catherine. I've got an update quickly. Go ahead,
yeah,
Catherine.
well, Stephen Fry actually, he left Twitter, and then because Elon made that announcement, he actually came back. His team came back because they paid the $8 to keep his name safe.
Wow. So I've just got a quick update. Funny, the team just sent me, you know how we stream these for YouTube as well? We started doing that a week or two ago. And the team just sent me through that one of our, so we had a discussion. It's just a debate. And someone obviously mentioned something that breaches the YouTube's misinformation regarding the 2020 US election, even though it was a debate, like we weren't actually promoting any theory. We were just debating different points. And we got the video taken down. So it's ironic that that happened. So I think you're right, Ian. The COVID one, we may not be able to stream it at all.
Told you.
Because when you debate, the thing is, that's annoying is that we're debating different topics. Like we're not promoting any particular point. We're just debating them.
They don't let you even question it. You can't question the science. You know, what are you, some kind of anti-vaxxer? Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny is I have another message here. Let me see if I still have it open. The team sent it to me, and I think you'll appreciate it. It's from a liberal account. I don't know, Brian, if you'll agree with that point, but it's a gentleman says, bro, I ran as a progressive candidate for local office in Austin, getting annihilated by the quote-unquote woke liberals, and was, this word, everyone loves to use it now, and was more or less attacked for my views on the Biden laptop, despite the fact we came from the same party. While we have some differences on opinion when it comes to past administrations, I am so enthralled by what you, Ian, and Elon are doing. Okay, not me, Ian, and Elon, not a good mix. While mainstream narrative will never show it, there has been a massive push from moderate progressives to return honesty and decency to our party. But obviously, we have been getting beaten out time and time again by cult leaders and have been heavily censored by our own party. Myself being censored on Twitter during the middle of my campaign for statements, blah, blah, blah. At this point, I can honestly say you have the full support of almost every single moderate progressive I know. I don't expect a response. I know you're busy, blah, blah. So yeah, that's just a nice message. I got it earlier. I didn't read it, but I think now is a good time to read it and relevant to the discussion. Ed, do you agree with this comment? Because I know you've been critical about a few points. Do you agree with that comment there? Not sure if you heard me read it.
I don't like. Do I agree with what about the comment?
That I'm pretty cool. No, I'm joking. There's so the particular point here is that there's he's been annihilated by woke liberals. He's a progressive himself, and it's just too much. They're just going too extreme with their censorship on anyone that might question different things and they might be, have different opinions. Would you agree with that point?
Yeah, to a certain degree, I guess. I mean, I guess it depends on what it is exactly, but.
And so would you say that there has been a bit too much censorship? In some cases it's warranted, but in some cases it isn't. Would that be fair? It's not a trick question. I'm just like, it's more of a general question, Ed. I guess I think you said yes. Can you hear me, Catherine? I think I'd like your take as well, Catherine. Would you agree with that comment?
You know what I'll say? I think that real progressives who care about progressive issues, they are kind of.
Why are you all cutting out? Catherine, I can't hear you either now.
Yeah, she cut out.
Yeah, and Ed cut out as well. Tom, let's try Tom because I saw him on mute. Let's see if you cut out, Tom.
I mean, they're always individual progressives or leftists or liberals who support free speech. But the organized left, as I call it, the kind of the infrastructure of the left and their partisan allies in the Democratic Party have decided that, free speech is to be directly challenged, not on the sly, but really quite directly. And, we have this rising revolutionary left within our society, and their analysis of free speech is that it's a false, it's a false or fake concept, however you want to put it, created by the privileged to suppress the marginalized. So they have this Marxist approach to all of our freedoms as being products of a corrupt system, capitalist, whatever you want to call it. And so therefore it's on the chopping block. So that's why you have these academic centers talking about misinformation, disinformation. The partisan left, the partisans, meaning the Democrats, it's to me, it's readily apparent why they want to suppress their political opposition. That's what politicians would love to be able to do if they could get away with it. In this case, they are able to get away with it because the media, which supports this philosophy I've been talking about, has decided that certain voices are to be censored. And if they're not censored, those who aren't doing it should be punished. And that's why Musk is being targeted.
I just kicked out Ian. Let me bring Ian back up. And Stephen got kicked out as well. Yeah, I've just I'm trying to bring up Taylor, Lorenz, or Elon. So I've just DM'd both, see if they can come in to pick this up.
Do we have any insights as to what Lorenz was bounced for? Was she doxing previous?
No,
he posted all of our.
Elon said it was specific. It was in a reply, I think, last night that it was specifically for a doxing event previously, a previous doxing event she did, and he announced last night she'll be back shortly. So
I was teasing, by the way.
and to be specific, the doxing event I believe he banned her for is that she was doing a story on someone who was not that big of a social media personality yet, and she said, hey, we're not going to use your address, but we need it. We're not going to use it in the article, but we need it for context and to prove this is real. And so she reluctantly gave over her address to Taylor Lorenz, at which point Taylor disregarded every single thing she had said and decided to post anyway her address to a lot of different people who could see it, who disagreed with her, which obviously is a safety risk. Diana said that's dangerous. I agree, Diana. But I thought that was really bad. And Elon Musk did comment as well to provide context clues. He commented, that's not good, in reference to that. So I believe that's why she was banned. I'm actually surprised she's back.
That was Ariadna. And the interesting thing, really quick, is that she shared that story with us yesterday on a Twitter space with.
Right.
Now Tara cut out. Catherine, now you have your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of when I was answering that previous question, but I'll move on from that because obviously it was censored because I was not by this room though. But I just wanted to give an update on the poll then, since if that's okay, Mario.
Yeah, please. Of course it is. Why are you asking?
So I don't know. So now since it was a little bit of a different audience, it was 65% against.
I knew that will happen. So it's really split which is not a bad thing.
I
but
was
it's pretty
actually surprised because my followers are kind of all over the place, I would say.
I
So
also retweeted it, so that could have had some influence as well.
that probably did. I was worried Ian was going to retweet it. That would have ruined the whole thing. I would have thrown that off. But yeah, so so that's interesting. So it depends on where it goes. It's very hard to do these polls and really know the real story. Since it really depends on who sees it at any given moment. But anyways,
their accounts with the other audiences retweet it and get their audience to vote.
I thought about that.
But that's okay.
No, I thought about that. But if she retweets it, it will get less reach. That's why I thought like others retweeting would be good. But like having two accounts, and then maybe you can, Catherine, you can retweet Taras can retweet yours, and then we'll see what happens.
Well,
a game.
the wording of the two polls is dramatically different, so that's probably playing a lot into the results.
Yeah, some people said that they were confused by Tara's wording because they didn't know exactly what it meant as well. And also I had a third option and Tara didn't have a third option, so that also played a role perhaps. So
I'm trying to bring
now
Tara and
Tara
Ian.
jumped on.
I'm trying to bring Ian and Tara up because they keep getting kicked off being co-host. Let me invite them again. Yeah, let me send that invite. Jesus Christ. Ian
And also on the progressive issue, I think that there's a group of progressives that actually care about what they say that they care about, which is let's say homelessness, drug addictions, prison reform, things like that, right? The sort of the progressive issues of the day, healthcare. And they're focused on trying to solve those issues. And they are generally not the people who care about sort of the woke issues. And they're not generally woke and they don't necessarily want to suppress speech and they're fine to talk to. And I've had many conversations and they're open and they're not like subscribed to sort of the cancel culture and let's cancel conservatives. And when you debate with somebody like that or have conversations, they tend to know the facts of things much more and they've got it together. Those are a really different breed from sort of what people sort of rile up on the right, get more riled about, and kind of label the woke. So I think it's very important to make these distinctions. Yeah, so those were my thoughts when I got cut off.
I'm trying to bring Ariadna. Is it good to have you back, Ari? Can you hear me, Ari? Oh, she dropped out as well. What is going on? And Ian dropped out.
I think every time people try to speak, it just bounces them for some reason.
And then is Tara still here? Tara also dropped out. Yeah, this is starting to piss me off. And Ari is dropped. For fuck's sake, everyone's dropping out.
We blame Taylor.
Yeah, I blame Taylor Lorenz for everything.
Taylor.
I mean, we should
guy.
probably ban her again just for the safety of this platform. I feel very unsafe with her on.
I really can't wait to have Taylor because poor girl. I don't know anything about her, but she's getting annihilated in the space for 2 days now.
Well, she blocked me for I don't know what reason. What struck me is that she was out there again suggesting that she was banned after she put out a question to Elon Musk. And I don't know if you saw the tweet that she made, but to me, it was wildly inappropriate for a journalist to say, I've been trying to reach Elon Musk and David Sachs, and I think it was a third person whose name I don't recall. I've got information that I want to talk to you about. Please call me, or something generally like that. And I read it as, a threat. I've got private information. You call me about it. On what principle would a journalist put something like that into the public domain? It's just beyond me. Who is running the Washington Post that allows this person to behave as she does as a representative of the paper? She can have her own personal views. It's clear that she is antagonistic towards the targets of her reporting often. But the Post, to me, has to take accountability. Is this the type of journalism they want associated with their publication? And of course, the other challenge for them, which few want to admit, is that the Post is a competitor of Elon Musk, not only with Twitter specifically and advertising. But Bezos has got other competitive issues with Musk as well, for which few want to hold them accountable in terms of highlighting the context of their attack reporting on Musk.
Yeah, I do want to say, Ian, you keep getting kicked out. Now, Tara, I don't know if you'll get kicked out
I
again.
got kicked out
Seems
again
the
like a million
co-host,
times.
Tara got kicked out as well.
So
So
did
I
Cat.
think his
Yeah, we're all
co-host is
getting like
Cat.
annihilated.
I sent an invite to Cat as well. My job now is just sending invites, but I'm just keeping the space running. I was thinking end the space. I'm giving a bit of time, see if Silver got kicked out. I hope Elon doesn't join now because he'll just get kicked out. But yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job covering it. Let me bring Tara back up. Let me see if Elon replied or Taylor. Yeah, they both didn't reply, so I guess they're busy. But yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. Any last points to add? I've just brought up. Is Ian kicked out again? Yeah. Any five? Yeah, of course, go ahead, Tara.
Again, and which it might any second, but it says someone peed on.
It's sad but funny. She got kicked out again. I think the space. I want to know what Tara's saying, and then I'm gonna end the space. For everyone listening, we have the COVID space tomorrow. We delayed it from today, and luckily, because we could cover this story. I'll just send an invite to Tara to tell us what she was about to say. Everyone's getting kicked out. Everybody. There's only who's left. This is funny. Jonah, you're left, and you haven't spoken yet, Jonah. So do you want to tell us your points on this discussion before it kicks you out?
All right, let's see if it doesn't kick me out first. Can you guys
Give
hear
it a
me?
shot.
Yep,
Yes,
you're good.
we can perfectly.
All right. So when I first saw it,
platforms, but that's actually not true. So if you read closely, it says we recognize that certain social media platforms provide alternative experiences to Twitter and allow users to post content to Twitter from these platforms. In general, any type of cross-posting to our platform is not in violation of this policy, even from the prohibited sites listed above.
Thanks for the clarification, Tara. Yeah, Jonah, go ahead. You were speaking. Jump in. Is Ian back? No. Yeah, Jonah, you want to go in before you get kicked out? You got to unmute Jonah, unless you're already kicked out. She's kicked out, I think. Tara, can you hear me? Is anyone there? Is it just me now? Is there any speakers that can speak?
Hello.
Can I?
Okay. Yeah, let's see. You can. Let's see how long you guys last. We have Jonah, who can't unmute. You're muted, Jonah. So try to unmute Jonah because it says you're there. Matt, Catherine, and Stephen, and Sam and Tom is back. So I'm not going to invite more speakers. I want to see how long we'll last with you guys, and then I'll
I'm
end
here
the
to
space.
throw in a lifeline, Mario, because the EU law that myself and several others have been citing doesn't actually come into play until May. So that's a big change in the dialogue in terms of the EU.
Okay,
so
the law you were referring to only kicks in May, yeah. So it's a few months left.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So that
get
kind
around
of
it.
that kind of clarifies that point. So Tom, you're still with us. Ian is back. Tara's back. So I won't invite anyone anymore. I'm just gonna wait to see if it's gonna kick any more out. So we got Tom, Matt, Ian, Tara, Catherine, Stephen, and Sam left surviving. Let's see who's the winner at the end. Who Twitter deems the winner. But yeah, so Tara, we heard your point. The poor lady that was speaking just before, she just got kicked out. She'd been waiting for like an hour to speak, so I do apologize. And I think we've covered the point discussion really well. So Ian, final thoughts. Update the audience on what the decision is and what kind of the conclusion of the room is before you get kicked out. And you're kicked out. So we have Sam, Stephen, Catherine, and Matt. Let's see who the winner is. So Matt, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me? I do have a baby crying back there, but I imagine you still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine. And we'll go. Ed is back. So Stephen, your final thoughts on the matter, because you've been supportive of all of Elon's decision. Are you still concerned about this one, or you think it's just a smart business decision?
Overall, yes, I'm still generally very supportive of Elon Musk and the overall trajectory under his acquisition of Twitter. However, I do think that we have seen a couple of stumbles here, and that's what I'd describe them as, stumbles. I wouldn't say they're as big enough to describe as massive blunders, but what the good news is Elon has showed in his leadership style that he's open to a lot of feedback and he's open to augmenting.
So Stephen didn't win. He just got kicked out. Catherine, your final thoughts? So it's you, Matt, and Sam competing for the winner.
Oh
Your
my
final thoughts,
God.
Catherine?
This is so gonna go off brand.
And it's
Okay.
just hold on. It's just you and Sam left. And Matt just got kicked out. So it's you and Sam. Let's see who's the winner. Man versus lady. So your final thoughts, Catherine? You got kicked out as well,
Oh no,
Sam.
surely,
You're the winner,
surely
man.
it's not. Am I still here?
It's just me and you, man. Look, my final
This is
thoughts on
Elon.
this.
This is Elon behind the scene, man.
Let me message Elon. I'm not going to message him because I'm going to end the space now. But you know, your final thoughts, Sam, on this before you get kicked out as well. You're out. It's just me. It's just me, guys. All right. So just to kind of conclude it, I think the concern around free speech. I think we had a few panelists concerned. My position was it's less about free speech and more of a business decision. But I understand the concern. It's a valid concern nonetheless. Elon is looking for other ways to monetize the platform. This could be one way. In his reply to I think it was Steven, or I can't remember who it was. I'm trying to remember the name, but his reply to one of the tweets is that he is looking at, you know, you got to pay to advertise. That's kind of the comment that was that Elon replied to, which makes sense in my opinion. So he's looking for other ways to monetize it. He's running a business that's financially not in a good position. So I think we cannot expect, and that's just my opinion, so there's no other panelists to disagree with me, so I'll just kind of be a bit broad with it, but I think we can't expect Twitter to be a town square, town hall, whatever we called it, because it is a business. And I think there are some responsibilities to censor certain information. I think drawing that line is very tricky. And he does need to make a profit. He does need to run the business. And that may, you know, he may need to take decisions such as, hey, charging for X, Y, Z. So I think we do need to give him some slack to run a business and not just expect completely free censorship for Twitter. And I'm pretty, you know, the doxing situation yesterday is a different discussion that we've already had, but in this case, I'm not against it. And I think even the panelists that were a bit concerned with the decision, they understood where Elon came from. So I don't think it's too polarizing of a decision. And we all agree that Twitter does have the right to do this. Is it the right decision, wrong decision? We have to also remember, just for the audience, we're not running Twitter. We're not in their finance team. We're not working at their executive team. I would have loved to have like Jason Calacanis or Mark Andreessen again, or somebody that is talking to Elon behind the scenes on the board, making those decisions. I think having their perspective on this would have helped a lot. Now, why is this important? Why did we do a space? I'll kind of end it with that final point, and I hope you guys find value in this point. Is that when I first saw this, Brian Krasenstein sent me the tweet, and I sent it to Ian, and we're discussing whether it's worth running a space. They were kind of 50-50. I'm like, it's not a big decision. I didn't think it was a big decision. Then someone from my team, I sent it to them, and like half an hour later, they're like, holy shit, that's massive. And they're deep in marketing on different platforms. They're like, this is massive, Murray. Like, do a space urgently. I was surprised by that response. I don't know why it's massive. I'm going to ask them. I ask them to come up on stage, and it's a bit too late now. But it could be from, I look at it as more of a like anti-competitive. I think that's a better debate to have, because, you know, there will be competitors to Twitter. Twitter has the right to be aggressive, but Twitter may reach a size as a company. So the bigger you get, the more responsibilities you have. For example, if Twitter was an application with 1 million followers, 1 million users, and they were banning competitors, no one gives a shit. But if Twitter dominates social media and they have 90% of the audience, then it's a bigger concern, because they do have that massive monopoly. Twitter is you know, on the high end, but not as big as Meta, for example, as big as Instagram or YouTube. So they might get more leeway, but we do have to remember EU regulators are a bit unhappy with some of the decisions Elon made. So that's a brief overview from my end. I'll try to bring Ian and Tara to kind of say thanks to everyone and end the room. That's my 2 cents. Anything final to say, Ian, Tara, before I end the space? Tara, Ian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just added a poll to the top
Yeah.
here. So if you all want to.
Cool. We got another poll by Ian. So we got a great poll by Tara, a great poll by Ian. For anyone that wants to go vote, it would be great to get your thoughts on it.
Elon Musk, I agree with his point. He said it makes sense to be concerned about accounts created specifically to advertise competitors. But for the hundreds of millions of users who are not those accounts, the policy must be clear. Casually and occasionally are susceptible to arbitrary enforcement and not good guides. And that's what I told Elon as well. I think that the language needs to be clarified in the article itself. Like, it's pretty clear to me what he means, right? Like, it should be clear to anybody. but the article that they published is not well worded. That to me is like the primary issue that is driving a lot of this confusion, even from lawmakers. And Justin Amash actually he summed it up perfectly, right? So if you guys want to take a look at that, I'm going to add that to the thing, to the top.
Yeah, you dropped.
Yeah, to the top.
I thought you dropped out. Tara dropped out.
Okay.
So you're the last man standing.
I am the last man standing. I'm always the last
And it's funny,
standing.
5 minutes ago, Elon replied to Robert Kennedy, who I think we're in talks with, to come join the space for the COVID debate, because I know he's very polarizing. And kind of for the COVID debate, Ian, do you mind if I just end it with you finish what you were saying?
No,
yeah. So for the COVID debate tomorrow,
yeah.
that's been delayed constantly for various reasons. It's scheduled for tomorrow. There's no reason to delay it. But we do have great speakers on both sides of the aisle. Just to give you an idea of the speakers we have. This is going to be a really good discussion. So we have on one side, we have, Jeremy Foss, Sierra Madad, Peter Hortez, and Debunk the Funk. On the other side, we have Peter McCullough, Simone Gold, Andrew Huff, and Dr. Drew, who I was just on a call with before the space.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She talked to Rebel News a while back.
Didn't she go to, wasn't she, please correct me if I'm wrong, didn't she go to jail?
I'm not sure of her story, but I'm sure you can look it up and see if that's correct.
Yeah. So someone told me so, and I think my team looked it up. She did. I don't know why, so I'm not saying it's good or bad. I've no idea. I didn't look into it. But yeah, so these are the speakers for tomorrow. We're going to have a few spaces about COVID because we're going to have the Fauci files drop in a few days, maybe in a week. So we're going to be discussing COVID very heavily. But these are the speakers for tomorrow. But otherwise, I think it's a great space. Ian, really appreciate you always joining as always, and I think the audience appreciates you. Tara, appreciate you as well. Mysterious Cat, Ed, you guys are beasts, and all other panelists. I think it was a great discussion. So thanks, everyone. Hope you found value in this. And as always, whenever there's urgent news or any breaking news, you can count on us opening up the space and inviting people relevant to the topic to discuss it. Tom, thanks a lot for joining as well.